Good morning, Raptor Freaks. Lexiot's here. It's Friday Freakout, and I'm freaking out today over three really impressive interviews from after practice yesterday at the Raptors OVO Center. Interviews with ThadYoung, Scottie Barnes, and Darko Rajaković. That absolutely every single one of those interviews, all three of them, were deep and meaningful and full of a lot of interesting things that were said by each one. Holy cow, Thaddeus, you are the man. And he gave me the last piece to realize exactly what was wrong with our team last year and what went wrong. Thaddeus straight up told us it's nice to have a coach coaching us that is listening to us and changing things on the fly with our input. In fact, it's nice to have a coach that will say, wow, guys, I'm sorry, this didn't work, and we're going to have to change this with your input and your, what it will fit for you guys. This is what Thaddeus said yesterday. He straight up said, it's nice to play for a coach that is fitting his system for the players instead of a coach that rigidly says, this is what y'all do. This is what I want y'all to do, and you better conform and do this. I knew this was a problem with our team last year. I knew it. I called it out earlier this summer that Nick and Nate Bjorngren are very rigid about demands on the players. And in some ways they say, oh, we'll let y'all do what you want, but we have all these other crazy rules that you better follow. And if you don't do them that way, we will bench you or not let you play. So, wow, thank you, Thaddeus Young, for illuminating the last piece of the puzzle for me. That this was a huge problem. Maybe these guys had ideas and they said something like Thaddeus has been in the league for 17 years. He's been around the block a bit here. And maybe he had some suggestions. Maybe he said something to Nick at some point halfway through the season and Nick disregarded him. Nick disrespected him. Nick said, no, I don't want to listen to you. I'm the coach. You're the player. Because there was a part in the season where this went like this with Young and Nurse, or maybe that's why Nurse didn't play Thaddeus for the last couple months of the season. So he missed his extra $500,000 bonus for playing 60 games in the season. That's right. Could you see that? That like Thaddeus said well, Nick, I've been in this league a long time. And if you just switch this to this, maybe we'll have an easier time. No, Thad, damn it. Why are you telling me how to do my job? I know this is speculation what I'm saying, but it's not hard to see that if there's even just a little bit of this around the team, how the players would be with that and be like, well, he's a player like us. And the coach is disrespecting his intelligence as a veteran in this league for so long. I'm telling you, man. The way that Thad laughed in that interview at one point about one of the questions was a tell right away that he's so relieved that there's been this coach's change, that this has been a huge, huge breath of fresh air for him, particularly, and maybe for a lot of those other Raptors coming out from not being in such a controlling coaching regime. I'm telling you, that told me a lot right there. Thad had more very interesting things to say. He talked about the 82-game season and the NBA mandating this week. Joe Dumars, the executive vice president or the head of the referees, whatever position he's in, Joe Dumars ahead in the NBA saying, I want these guys to get back to an 82-game mindset. I know exactly what Joe's talking about, and I agree with him. The history of the NBA, when I was growing up, it was really prestigious for players to play in all games for the season. In fact, a lot of guys were trying to do it all the time. At some point in the last 20 years, this went away. It's went away like to the worst, like to the opposite, where guys are like not really anywhere close to playing 82 games in the season. But it was a badge of honor back when I was a kid watching the seasons. It was like, wow, this guy played all 82. This is a badge of honor. Guys like Malone and Stockton, they barely ever missed any games. These guys had like 82-game seasons, like 5-6 seasons in a row. And that was the norm in some ways. You had a lot of pros that made 82 games every season. Now we have barely any. I think last season there were 2 guys who played 82 games this whole entire season. You look at like back in the 80s, there'd be like 20 to 30 guys that would be playing 82 games a season. So this is a big deal. And I commend the NBA for trying to get this mentality back. Y'all do not have a hard job. This is crazy. And even the report that came out this week about how load management and missing games and resting games does not help with injuries overall, I believe that. These guys get just as hurt playing 60 or 50 games a season. So it's not like they're saving themselves from injuries by trying to sit out like this. So I agree with their report. I know some people are saying, oh, well, this is convenient for money reasons and getting the superstars out there, but this is actually damn truth. Y'all are getting hurt anyway. Even if you're resting all the time, y'all are still fucking getting hurt. So I like the mentality and the mandate. And this is what he had to say about it. I want to be very clear right here. You know, he didn't want to speak for any other players or teams or organizations. He's speaking for himself. That when he came into the NBA in 2007, he was like, I'm excited just to be here. And you know what? The privilege of coming and playing my first NBA game all the way to the end of the season, that's a privilege. He says that this is something that you signed up for. And it's like he wants to play all 82 games of the season. Where is that want in the younger generation of players? We see it in ThadYoung, a player who's one of the oldest players in the league at this point, saying this is the way it was when I came in the league. We all wanted to play 82 games, have a healthy season, get that full stat possibility. I mean, isn't it in your best interest, young NBA players, to play as many games as possible because you want to compile stats? If you want to move up the leaderboards in the history of the NBA, you got to get out there and play the many games as you can. Seriously. So I don't understand why you wouldn't want to play so much. If it's something that you enjoy and you really, really love doing, like Scottie loves basketball, you would want to show up and play all 82 games of the season. That would make sense to me. So I love what Thad said. He said, I want to be available to my team for every single game, every single preseason game, every single regular season game, every single playoff game. I want to be available to my team to be able to play. And he went on to say, there's a reason why I've played over 1,000 NBA games in my career. That is a huge accomplishment, by the way. Not a whole lot of people get to 1,000 games in the NBA, trust me. So that's what I'm saying. I love the 82 game mentality of that. And he's just saying, this is what I signed up for. This is what I expected. This is what I want to do. If you want to come and play, why wouldn't you want to play all 82 of the games? Why wouldn't you want to? So this is an interesting philosophy. And in some ways, I'm glad there's still old heads around like ThadYoung that remember how the mentality was before, when people were like, we want to play 82 games, instead of shrinking away from it and encouraging them, like not wanting to play 82 games. You know, it's crazy. It's crazy. Good morning to Canadian Cowboy and the Raptor Freaks and Lex. Bam. Good to see you guys. And Trevor J's here also. Good morning, Raptors family. Happy Friday. Happy Friday to you guys. Happy Friday the 13th. Blah! Yeah, sometimes this is a lucky day. This is a Steve Nash day. That's right. Cowboy saying, as a player, I think you would want to play all 82 games. If not, don't put on a Raptors jersey. Maybe try Philly. Bradley with his little bit of advice there. I know I would. I think Marquise Noel wants to play all 82. I think Scottie Barnes would like to play all 82. I think ThadYoung wants to play all 82. You know, that's the thing. Maybe that's part of how Bobby and Masai suss out new talent coming to the team. It's like, are you willing to want to play a whole 82 game season? Is this something that sounds fun to you? Like working your ass off and playing all 82? Yeah. Do you like that? All right. Maybe we'll draft you. All right. You know, that may be a real easy way to figure things out. You have the idea of playing an 82 game season. Does that scare you? Is that something maybe I'll play 66 games. I'll be fine with 66, Raptors. Well, okay. You just want to play 66 games. Okay. All right. We'll keep that in mind when we draft who we're drafting. Yeah. You know, that's interesting. Very, very interesting. All right. Let's see. Cowboys also saying, did Alvin Robertson really score the first points for the Raptors? I believe that's right. It was either Alvin Robertson or Willie Anderson. I think it was Alvin Robertson. Yeah, it was Alvin Robertson, from what I remember. The first Raptor to ever touch the ball, though, was Ed Pinkney, I believe. Off the jump ball, it was Ed Pinkney who actually grabbed the ball for the first time in Raptors history. So, yeah, I think that's right, Cowboy. You tested me on my very early Raptors knowledge. I'm pretty sure Alvin Robertson did score the first basket. Trevor J saying, give thanks to the Father this morning. I can still walk. I can still talk. I can still see. I can still hear that you still have a job. So thank him today because he allowed you all these things. I'll thank him for everything except for the job thing. In some ways, that's not something to thank the Lord for. I'm sorry. You can thank him for the natural things that are with your body for sure. And we can get behind that. Yeah. In some ways, we take for granted being able to see, being able to walk, being able to talk, being able to hear. And there are people that do not have these abilities right now. And they know just how lucky some people are that have those abilities. So do not take those for granted. And in some ways, listen, we're all human and we can have things happen. So be very thankful because things can change and it sucks. And you don't want that to happen. You want good things to happen to you. So yeah, gratefulness, gratitude is always good, Trevor. I agree. Thank you for your words of wisdom. Cowboy saying, remember, the best dreams you will ever have is when you're awake, Raptor Freaks. This is interesting. Bradley doing some words of wisdom all of a sudden. Not new, normally Bradley's wheelhouse is you normally throwing some alley-oops here and there. But yeah, the best dreams you'll ever have is when you're awake. That's interesting. I do believe in melding my dreams into my real life. There are times when I'll be sleeping and I'll come up with an idea, and in the morning I'll still remember it and I'll try and do it in real life. It's so cool. Tom Duke saying, I'm always ready to play. He's talking about Thaddeus. I just put my head down and make sure I put my time into my craft and trust my work each and every day. I love what Thad said. In some ways, a lot of Raptors fans are like, man, Thad's a real one. He had a lot of different opinions on different stuff. And if there's anything from those interviews that you guys watch that you want to talk about specifically, let's definitely bring it up. Scottie, very interesting in what he was saying last night. Scott is going to a new level. He really, really, really is. I love the Raptors Today podcast. They came out with their first episode of the season with Akil Augustine, Sherman Hamilton, and Paul Jones. Paul Jones was at the Sacramento Raptors game on Sunday, and he was sitting near some of the scouts that came to scout us for the season. Probably some Eastern Conference teams that deal with us. And Paul went to the scouts at halftime and he said, what do you see? Did you see Scottie in the first half? And the scout went basically like this. Yeah, we saw him and this is scary is what he said to Paul Jones. This is scary. I'm telling you guys right now, the secret's going to come out more and more. We're seeing more content on YouTube right now about Scottie and the things that are happening with him right now. Whether it's him coming to the interview talking about he wants to dominate, whether it's the highlights of him at Rico Hines runs, whether it's the highlights of him from Sunday. People that watch basketball can see what I have been able to see right from his rookie year. And I knew that this was going to develop into this. The low post scoring of Scottie is dominant. And he's going to do this year, and nobody can do a damn thing about it. This is the cool thing about this. They can perceive that Scott is not who he is down there and try and deny it. They're basically the people that put fingers in their ears and go, no, I'm not listening. I'm not listening. That's who they are because they're not looking at reality. Anyone can look at the highlights of Scottie in the first half on Sunday and see what is coming up in the future. This man can do whatever the hell he wants down near the basket, and it's coming. And that scout, those scouts that were there on Sunday, they're going back to warn their teams. In fact, one of the things they said to Paul Jones was the Raptors are way better this year than they were last year. They're already assessing us from the Sacramento game and saying that the Raptors team this year is going to be better than the team with Fred and Nick last year. That's the paid professional scouts that are paid to come and watch teams ahead of time. They're already coming to people and saying they're better than they were last year. I can tell you that right now. The Raptors are going to be better this year than they were last year. That's what the professional scouts, not the idiots like Jake Fisher and idiots that are covering the team, writing bullshit. The scouts, the people that work for the teams, because they need to tell them the truth so they can get ready. Well, they were telling Jonesy, Toronto's better and Scottie is scary. Is what they're saying. Yeah. And just so y'all know, tomorrow we're going to do a special Saturday Share the Love Club for Jonesy. That's right. I want to do one for Paul Jones. Paul Jones has been with the team since the very beginning, and it just struck me. It's like, I need to do Paul Jones. Let's share the love for Paul Jones tomorrow, y'all. 9:30 a.m. on the Raptorfreak channel. We will be sharing the love for Jonesy, man. One of the original broadcasters for the Raptors since the very beginning, somebody who stuck through the thick and the thin, and in some ways is a real one. Seriously, y'all. Paul Jones is a real one, and we're going to talk about why tomorrow. That's right. We love you, Jonesy. All right, but yeah, I love this intel. Now, the thing that I really love about what Scott was saying is it's becoming a cerebral game. The thing that Scottie's doing now is, all right, he's figured out this is the league. All right, I'm orientated in my rookie year. I had fun. I got rookie of the year. I played well, but I really was just kind of messing around. Last year it was trying harder stuff and with mixed success. This year is about up here, and it's also about here. And this is the thing, and this is what Jonesy and Sherman said on Raptors Tonight, or Raptors Today yesterday. The cardio will allow the brain to be more cognizant and aware and able to function better on the court. Scottie working on his cardio this summer means he's going to be able to run up and down the court much more without getting dog tired. When you get tired, your brain goes quick. This is what Sherman said specifically. And I agree with this. One of the things Scott wants to do this season is to have the conditioning up so that he can be engaged in the game with his mind more parts of the game. And what that means is Scott's going to be watching for matchups on both ends of the court, whether it's coming down the court in the open fast break with the ball, looking for the matchups, the mismatches, like Gary's got this guy, or OG's can bully ball somebody, or Pascal can kill this guy real quick. You know, he's reading that stuff now. He's going to be playing a very intelligent game of reading the game. And it's got to be really quick, but he has really good instincts, and he really does understand spacing and positioning with the defensive players on our offensive players and where these guys can actually beat these guys. So it's all about reads. It's all about breaking it down visually and making that instinctual, really quick half-second pass that Darko's demanding to the right guy to get that mismatch, to get an easy score, a high percentage shot, and an easy basket. That's what I'm saying. And then on the other side of the court, he's going to be reading it on defense also, that he's going to help with mismatches. He's going to see what the other team's trying to do, and within his own physical defensive capabilities, he's going to help shore up our defense to stop them. So it's a very cerebral year coming up with Scott. He understands the game. As he said, the game's simple. It's easy. In some ways, he sees the NBA as easy. It's like, look, this is what you do when this is in this position. The defender's going to play Siakam like this. Well, this is what we do. Boom, I hit him like this, and boom, Siakam's got a basket. It's an easy game to Scott, is what he's saying. And that may sound arrogant, but in some ways, he's right. This game of basketball is a simple game. And in some ways, if he understands what you do in the protocol of what situation is what, and this is the right decision to make sure that you get the basket, well, he's gonna kick some ass. I'm telling you right now, it's gonna be about reads. It's gonna be about looking at the court, breaking it down, and making the right pass or making the right play. And oh man, I'm so here for it. We're gonna enjoy this season a lot, guys. You know, Darko's interview, even more impressive. All three of those guys that took the microphone at OVO Center last night, they did some really interesting stuff. I highly recommend you guys go watch these interviews, because you'll see just how deep they are with meaning. This is what Monique said when we were in the comments talking about it after we watched it yesterday. This stuff is deep, is what Mo said. This is deep, what Thaddeus said. This is deep, what Scottie said. This is deep, what Darko said yesterday. That's right. That's right. Tom Duke saying peace and happy Friday. That's right. Peace and love and understanding to this world, please. Please, with this crazy whatever's going on over there. I don't even want to get into it. That is crazy what they're trying to do over there right now. Kareem saying pairing socks with sandals gives you a further level of flexibility, both aesthetically and functionally. Seeing Dennis with no socks on in the middle of October is the only thing I can find wrong. I don't even know what you're talking about exactly. All right, Dennis did give us that tour of the OVO Center. Not really, but kind of. He showed us the court, and he had his wife out there taking shots, and he was trying to get her to make the shot. It took her about 4 attempts, but she finally got the ball to go through the hoop. You know, Dennis is really funny. That clip was awesome. We see him. He's very happy to be in Toronto. We can tell. We see him riding along on the lakeshore in his vehicle, and he's on the phone at the beginning. He dropped the content yesterday, And he's on the phone at the beginning. And guess who he's on the phone with? Right at the beginning of his content, Bhatia. Bhatia is on the phone with Dennis telling him basically, you want any cars for your family for free? I'm giving them to you. You need anything, Dennis. Bhatia is there, the Raptor super fan. Yeah. Yeah. And Dennis is on the phone. He's like, this is the super fan, y'all. And he's like, yeah, he's going to give us cars if we need them. he's like, and he gets on the phone. You can tell that he's really impressed by Nab's generosity. I think he does this to all the Raptors when they come here, but it is impressive to have somebody like a fan like Nav Bhatia, the super fan, to be on the phone telling Dennis, yeah, your wife needs a car to drive around in Toronto. I'll give you a car. Boom. You guys I'll give you a lease on a car. Boom, for free. You get a free car. That's not a bad perk to have for our team. And seeing it from the delight on the Schröder's faces from that kind of stuff is awesome. He's also got to deal with Rolex coming up. He's not totally sure if he's getting free stuff from them or not, but apparently he's going to be representing Rolex in advertisements soon, very, very soon. So Dennis is a high-class guy. You know what Nav said to him? He said, as long as you come like you did in Manila and win with Germany, with our team, the Raptors, I love you for it. You just bring that same winning leadership and attitude that you did for Germany this summer, and we'll be real happy. And Dennis said, yeah, he was there. I saw him there, and he says he wants me to do what he did with Germany with the Raptors. And I'm like, I'm all about that, baby. And you could tell Dennis is bringing that same kind of energy to our team. I was really worried about it. How do you feel about the drop off between doing it for your country, doing it for your people, your country, or doing it for another country in the NBA for the Raptors? Is there going to be a different level of compete and dedication? No. Dennis is a professional. He has only one way he does things. And the way he's going to attack the season with the Raptors, he said it to Nav on the phone. He said, I want to win every single game this year, Nav. I want to win every single game. That's what he said on the phone. I heard Dennis say that. He said, I want to win every single game this year. In fact, they were saying like 50 wins, 61 wins. Why not? Is what Dennis said to Nav Bhatia. 61 wins. Why not? That's badass. And I love it. These guys are all about it. Scottie said win like 4 times again in his interview yesterday. He just wants to win. He said, they may not give us respect for defensive stuff that the Raptors do, but when we win, they will. And he understands that. He said, we've got to win, and then we will get the recognition, the awards, the applause, the recognition for being great defenders. I love that. I love that so much. So much cool stuff in those interviews and in Dennis's little visit to OVO yesterday. Nako's saying Thad's going to give credit where credit is due. That's right. Good morning to you, Gerald. Always love to see you, man. Stargate saying, good morning, Raptorfreak family. Good morning to you, Stargate. Dana's here, too. Canadian Dana, good morning, everyone. Good morning to you, Dana. Always happy to see you, Dana. Country Kong is here. Good morning, Raptor Freaks. Happy Friday, everyone. Lex, two-way communication is everything. Having a voice matters. It's a reason I prefer this channel over others. Nick only listened with his mouth. Boom, there you go. Country Kong illuminating that this is a factor in this channel. Maybe I coach like Darko and not like Nick. I'll listen to y'all, and y'all can tell me and correct me, and I will listen. That is a really good way to be a leader. Leaders that are above in a reproach, or not able to be talked to, that's really bad shit. Like if they're like out in their own little world, like Vladimir Putin, and nobody can actually tell them what to do, or Kim Jong-un. Like, you think anybody's telling Kim Jong-un what to do? No, he's just doing his thing. It's like, that's bad leadership. You need the whole perspective from all sides. And yeah, I love that, Country Kong. And I think your statement's exactly right. In some ways, Nick wasn't having it. Like I said, he didn't want to talk to nobody after the games. In some ways, he cut off communication going back towards him. And yeah, this is going to be a big difference. Darko relishes the communication. He, in his interview last night, saying, how much are you talking about the team? In some ways, he's doing a detriment to his family life for the Raptors. He's saying, people keep telling me I need to go spend more time with my family right now. I can't help it. I'm thinking and breathing and living Toronto Raptors basketball and making it better in my life right now. And in some ways, my poor wife and child are getting ignored by this. I mean, he's saying stuff like, we, the coaches staff and him are in constant contact. They hang out after practice, before practice. All they talk about is making the Raptors better. And the great thing about Darko is it sounds like when he writes a play out or any kind of like scheme or something, if it's not working, if it's stagnating, that was a big word that was said a lot yesterday. He'll scrap it and throw it right out. And he'll say, well, you know what? Let me modify it just a little bit to really specify for your specific characteristics as a player. That's great. Like, it's seriously, these guys want it to be easier in some ways, but make it easier in a way that it adds up to easier winning or winning in a better way. That's what I'm saying. In some ways, you don't want to force players to do things that are awkward with their movements or how they handle the ball or what they're going to do. You really want to lean into their strengths. I mean, that would just make sense, wouldn't it? So, yeah, I love that whole thing that you're just describing, Country Kong. And I think it's true. The two-way street of communication. And then even like in the middle of it, one of the things they were talking about, how he stops practices this year. One of Nick's things last year was they'll play through it. They'll get through it. We saw it in games where we were all crying out for timeout, Nick. Timeout. He's like, no, let them play through it. They'll get their shit together in a couple of trips down the floor. No, the lead is growing to 20 now because you idiot didn't call a timeout and reset them. Darko's not like that. He's not going to do that. He said as soon as he sees it in practice, he stops them. He stops them. He said, no, whistle. All right, guys, reset. We're going to do this better. Because in one way that is really matters to Darko is flow. He wants the game to flow beautifully, and the offense cannot stagnate. Like Matt Devlin saying, the Raptors have not scored for the last 5 minutes of the clock. You're going to be hearing that shit this year because Darko won't let it get past 2 minutes. I'm going to tell you that right now. He's going to fix it before then. And in fact, some of the ways he's stopping the practice when it stagnates is to illuminate and illustrate to these guys when you're in these situations, in game situations, this is your protocol for getting out of it. I need to give you an escape door to get out of the misery of floundering in a stagnant offense or a stagnant thing happening in the game. Instead of just watching them be torturing us viewers, watching the Raptors go, oh my gosh, what are they going through? They can't score a basket to save their life. No, Darko's not going to stand for that. He'll call a timeout way sooner than Nick, and he is going to get them to. That's maybe one of his biggest enemies is when the offense stagnates or the flow stagnates. And that really is when guys are holding the ball too much and not passing enough or doing weird selfish shit all of a sudden. I love this. And in some ways, Thad was really impressed with this. It's like, no, he stops practice when things aren't going on the way he wants on the court. He'll stop practice. And he'll point it out and he'll micromanage in that moment. These guys are eating up him micromanaging him because they don't care. They're not upset with him getting nitpicky because they want to learn. They want to get his system down. And he loves how teachable they are. That he's like, he can get real nuts and bolts with them. And they're really high intellect basketball wise, as far as really understanding what he's saying. They can get real nitpicky. Real nitpicky. And in some ways, I get the feeling that Darko is one of these coaches as a tactician that's always 2 steps ahead. He'll take that film from Sacramento, a very successful game, and he'll look at everything that we did wrong in it, and he'll clean that up already now so that in some ways we'll be ahead of the curve with these issues. If we see the little issues pop up, but we're still winning, you got to understand, if he's proactive on fixing mistakes in winning also, we could go real far. Seriously, we could go real far. Oh, man, I'm so hyped. I am so hyped. Yes, thank you, Country Kong, for choosing the Raptorfreak channel. That's right. Stargate saying, I don't care what anyone says or thinks. Nick was the issue last year. Not Fred, not Pascal. It was Nick. In some ways, I told y'all, he was wrapped up in his own ego to a degree. He believed in the hype. Maybe Rich Paul being his agent hurt him in some ways. They really probably talk these guys up in their egos. In some ways, they feel like that swagger is what will get them the bigger contracts and the money. I believe this is true. In some ways, it's a bad look when your coach has his own logo and hat. I'm telling y'all, that's a sign right there. Most coaches don't have time for that kind of nonsense. And they're like, well, you think Popovich is going to get a little GP hat? Like Nick had NN hats? No, he's not. And in some ways, that signaled that there's a little bit more to Nick's ego than the average coach, is what I'm saying right there. Yeah, Seymour says, Stargate, check, mark. Yes, agreement. is what's happening there. Fiercey is here. Good to see Scottie Barnes, Twitch family. Fiercey saw Sarah. We love Fiercey. Good morning, fam. Happy Friday. I have a feeling Darko's way of communicating will motivate the players. The vibes will be good. Thad seems enthusiastic. Even the other two vets, Otto and Gerhard. I love what Thad said, because Thad has a very experience in the NBA. He said he's played for like 20 coaches. He's played for 7 teams. He's played a lot of NBA. And they asked him, is Darko like any other coach you ever been coached by? And he said he is one of one, meaning he is the only one like Darko that he has ever dealt with in his career. That says a lot right there, seriously. Because in some ways, like Dennis was rating the OVO Center last night and saying, oh, well, most of the facilities in the NBA are all 8 through 10 and a scale of 1 through 10 as far as the quality of them. And he said, well, this is a good one too. It's like, but he didn't really outright like say the Raptors facility is the best in the whole league or anything like that. Well, that's because a lot of the facilities are probably very similar. Like the Lakers facility is not probably that far off from OVO Center to a degree. So him saying that like Darko is a one of one coach, like there's only one Darko and there's no other coach he's ever dealt with in his 17-year NBA career, that speaks a lot to the uniqueness and difference of Darko. That's had a lot of coaches and none of them have been like Darko, is what he said. None of them. And he said he's intense, he cares, he's fiery, and he's also listening. And that is the thing I really love about all that. I really love that. Kareem saying every Friday the 13th should be National Raptors Fred Day. Doesn't matter what time of the year it is. We are all freaks on Friday the 13th. Oh, Freak Day. Every Friday the 13th should be National Raptors Freak Day. This is a weird one. I don't know if we should do this. Maybe we could. You want Friday the 13th to be National Raptor Freak Days? That's a very interesting concept, Kareem. Very, very interesting. I don't look at this day as being unlucky. I've always felt like the 13 is a lucky number for me. I used to wear 13 when I played church league basketball when I was a kid. That was my first number, was 13. So I was wearing a 13 jersey when I was playing basketball when I was like a 12-year-old. So I don't mind the number 13. I don't. G saying Stargate, as a fan of Nick, have been saying this. It was the system trying to be fair to Nick too, but his roster didn't have a lot of shooters, so think he wanted to work with their strengths. But listen, there's something very interesting that was said yesterday that you just keyed off in my mind. That said we have shooters yesterday, and what he said, and this is the thing. I'm going to put this together. We had shooters last year, but because of the way that Nick set up our system, the shooters had a hard time like being a higher percentage. We have good shooters on our team, but because the way Nick set up the system, it wasn't conducive for them to shoot a high percentage. I'm going to bet y'all right now, before the season even starts, that the Raptors shooting percentage this season is going to rise up crazy. It's going to be like last year. What was it? It was like 40 something percent. I'll bet you it would be closer up to 50%. Between 45 and 50% instead of between 40 and 45%. We're going to have at least a 5 percentage point leap in our team field goal percentage this season, partly because Darko really, really wants them to get in the paint and get high percentage, high quality shots. When you get high quality shots, high percentage shots, your field goal percentage will rise. Now, Thaddeus, who's been in the league for 17 years, knows the NBA a lot. He perceives our team as having shooters. He said this. He said, our team is adaptable. Our team is very, very versatile and multi-talented and can do anything. And we have shooters. So I'm not worried about new coaches or new things coming in, because out of all the NBA teams in this league, our team is one of the most adaptable and versatile. They'll be able to weather any kind of like system or coach changes. It's like that said, coming in and with learning a Darko system isn't hard for me, because in some ways it's something I've been through before and we're all going through it. Now, somebody like Gradey, it may be a little tough because he's learning from the college game to the NBA game and it's all very new to him. But somebody like him, Pascal, OG, these guys kind of been around and they've seen like differences and changes to a degree. So yeah, it's very interesting. Thad perceives the team as having shooters. And I believe him. I think we do have good shooters on our team. It's just that we have had a reputation of not having good shooters because Nick Nurse's system wasn't conducive for a high percentage field goal percentage. It was very much throw a lot of junk up there, hope something sticks. And if they miss, go get the rebound and put it back. It was all about getting a lot of field goal attempts, not necessarily about getting those field goals to go in. In some ways, it's the opposite with Darko. He's all about getting very high quality shots and not like a whole bunch of quantity on shots. In some ways, he wants the high quality shots, and then we'll make a higher percentage. Watch, it's going to happen. G saying his system didn't develop their shooting either. That's the thing. In some ways, he didn't free them up right, because if you don't pass it, you can't free up your guys. So that's part of the reason why we struggled so much against defenses, because they knew what we were going to do, and they just basically doubled down on people that we keyed on, especially Siakam. They knew what we were going to do with Siakam over and over again. So how the hell is Siakam supposed to run through a brick wall every day? Well, he's like water. He goes through the cracks, and he still finds a way through like 2 or 3 defenders to still lay it up and in. It's actually really amazing how successful Siakam can be in these situations like last year, considering how much is stacked against him. In some ways, that really tells us that, if he's having an easier time and he can make more of his game more well-rounded in other places, more energy on blocks and steals and assists and rebounds and defense. Yeah, there's some energy to be gained for Siakam in other areas of his game, since he's not going to be laboring so hard being the workhorse on offense. There really, really is. Tom Duke saying, yes, MSJ, amen. He retracted. I don't know what he said. MSJ saying, I say let's forget Nick Nurse now. I don't know about you all, but it's over for me. I can't take it anymore. Philly is going to suck. Liftoff now happening in H-Town, and that's good for me. Let's talk Raptors. Well, in some ways, listen, Chris, this is very valid to talk about right now, because we are still trying to figure out what happened last year. And one of the best ways for us to discover what happened last year is to see the difference with the new coach. So please forgive me. This is a little different than the Fred thing and talking to you guys about this early in the season. Fred is clear. He's gone. But Nick, in some ways, the difference, we're going to read differences between Darko and Nick this season, the comparison. And it's still valid to talk about Nick just to compare the new coach with him. And so this will be happening still. And I know that you guys may get sick of me talking about Nick in this way, but it's very fair and valid for us to go back and realize what happened last year, because it's important. We don't want these kind of things to happen again. So we need to learn about the mistakes and the problems from last year so that we can avoid them in the future. It's learning from history is basically what it is. So the stuff with Darko, unfortunately, for a while, at least maybe most of the season, I will be comparing Nick to Darko on the regular. And it's going to be partly just because when it makes sense because of something happening, and I'll do it then, or I'll be just observing and figuring out, oh, shit, that's something that's totally different about Rajaković versus Nurse. So there's validity to looking at both. And especially with astute eyes like ours, we can come in and say, well, wow, that's totally different than what Nick was doing last year. And let's see the different outcomes on it. I think that's all very valid still. Very, very valid. Country Con saying, I definitely agree it wasn't Pascal. He was doing his best given the circumstances. But has anyone watched the Rockets games? Ime Udoka said he didn't want Harden, but the guy they signed shot 3 for 11. Fred has had 2 Fred games in a row, yes. And, well, that's the way it's going so far. I'll let the Rocket fans have their little kibitzing and talking about it in their social media spaces. They'll deal with the thing with Fred, and their angst with Fred will come out on their own and stuff. In some ways, it is what it is. It is what it is. Let's see. Fiercely saying, yes, time for a new era, and let's send positive vibes to the boys so that they stay engaged, motivated, healthy, and play most of the 82 games. I love the vibes. In Thad's interview with Chris Boucher, he's yelling at Chris in the middle of his interview, hey, Chris, I love you. Hey, Chris. That was hilarious. Right in the middle of the interview, he's just like Boucher's walking by and he starts yelling at him. That was good vibes. That's what I'm talking about. Scottie has very engaged, serious vibes, more grown-up, mature vibes. I think in some ways he really likes the challenge. He's a structure guy. He really is. He loves being in the NBA season because he loves having a schedule with his teammates. It's like, get the team playing, go to this place, practice this time, team meeting this time, icing, pregame, bam, this is your workout. He loves that kind of structure because he wants to be working towards becoming a very good superstar player in the NBA. So each of the milestones, each of the tasks, each of the things, the itinerary is something he thrives in. So he loves this kind of stuff. They really are engaged and he is locked in. He is all about buying Darko's system. In fact, he's very much championing the ideas that Darko's putting forth and really running with them. You know, Darko has said a couple things in interviews recently where he sees a long term for Scottie. And he said this in the last week. In 2 or 3 years, he wants everybody to be really, really scared of Scottie and having huge problems with him, like they do with Giannis and people like that. He wants them to have to treat Scott just like some of the top superstars in this league when they have to make their plans when they're coming up and playing against the Raptors. So I see it too. And Darko having that long-term vision of what Scott could evolve into is really good. And it could very well be he's on the same page with Scott because he talked to him about it. He said basically, listen, this year we want to get the system down. We want everybody to learn it really good and go good. But as we're doing it, I want to develop you to be your fullest potential, Scottie. And this is what you'll do. And you will get to this point. And I can say in 3 years from now, I'd like you to be doing this and this and this. So let's aim for this. This is the kind of stuff we don't hear publicly. This is the kind of stuff that is inside house where coaches do give long-term kind of ideas about places they want players to be in a few years from now. So I know that Darko sat down and talked to Scottie Barnes and said, this is where we want to get you to. And if you'll listen to me and trust me, I will take you there. And that's what I'm all about right here. I'm finding out more and more about Darko's brain as far as how he looks at the game, just from listening to him in interviews, just from seeing different things that people are saying about being coached by him. And I'm realizing this man is a genius. This man really does know basketball. And once again, Masai and Bobby, they may have taken their time with getting our new coach, but they got the right one. This guy is not just a people person, a diplomat, and a politician. He's also a very, very smart X's and O coach. And because he's not rigid with his philosophies and the way he wants to do things, he's unstoppable. If he uses pure basketball theory and understanding of what beats other things on the court, and when this happens, you go do this happens and this happens, he can be an adjustment king. He can be a tactician in the game, in the middle of the game. And this is going to be the fun part of this season is seeing Darko, how he coaches in game situations, whether how he deals with the referees and politicking with them, how he deals with scenarios and things that happen in the game with point differentials and where the game is at. I'm going to be very, very curious to watch him very closely and analyze the tactician of a coach that Darko is. I have a feeling we're going to be very pleasantly surprised with his aptitude and his quickness on his toes with dealing with adjustments. I'm very, very going to be, I'm like, oh, I can't wait. I can't wait for Sunday. I can't wait for Tuesday, Wednesday. No, Tuesday. Tuesday. It is Tuesday. The game is on Tuesday. And then I can't wait for Friday. Yeah, the preseason games are going to tell us a lot. That's right. Let's see. MSJ saying it was Alvin Robertson. I remember it well on my 10-inch color TV back in my university dorm on CBC with rabbit ears. Wow, that's a very specific, vivid memory, Chris. I love it. You're watching it on your 10-inch color TV back in 94, 95, something like that. That's amazing. That's awesome. Sue's here. Good morning, Raptor Freaks. Happy Friday. Happy Friday the 13th to you, Sue. Woo! Very scary, Count Floyd. Ooh! Yes, watch Play It Again, Sue. A great music reaction channel on YouTube by one of our Raptor Freaks, Sue. So definitely give them a follow. Play It Again, Sue. Music reactions, all kinds of good classic stuff and some newer stuff too. That's right. Tom Duke has got the starting lineup on blast with Thaddeus. It looks like we got Thaddeus in the emotes this morning. I love to see a Thaddeus Young emote for all of our subscribers and members. You can use that Thaddeus emote at least on a limited time basis while he's there in the picture with us. I love it. There's Thad, Dennis, Scotty, Pascal, OG, and Poeltl. I love it. We got all we need. That's right. Seymour saying, Lex, did you see that nasty rookie poster dunk from Brendan Miller? Possible the Hornets' only bright spot this season. I did see that dunk. That's very incredible. Sure, that's athletic, but in some ways, I'm not. That kind of stuff doesn't impress me. In some ways, that's sizzle. That's not necessarily steak. Seymour Pape, and sure, it'll look real nice. He jumped over some guy, he got extended arm up and threw it down. But guys can do that all over the league. It's not about that. It's about winning. And Charlotte's not going anywhere near winning. But you might be right. He may be one of the few bright spots on that team this year. He may very well be. They'd already got some real dark clouds around them already. But yeah, I did see that dunk. But once again, that's sizzle. That's not steak. I don't get it. I don't get excited about that. No, I don't. Yeah. Seymour saying, oh, gee, oh my. MSJ saying, Sue, first period spare. First period spare. What is that about? I don't know what that's about. Let's see. Nako's saying, anyone else think Scotty's handles gotten better over time? He's always had pretty good handles. He's a good dribbler. He's always been a good dribbler, but I'm sure he's increased, his drills with his ball handling this summer, and he probably does improve as a ball handler as time goes on. For sure. In some ways, it's in game time experience, Gerald. He may play a certain way with a high dribble or try certain like dribbles between the legs and that kind of stuff. But he may realize with certain players that are near him, and some of it's like really matchup stuff. At this point, Scotty's got a little bit of a dossier on all the personnel in the league, other than the rookies coming in, obviously. And he kind of knows their tendencies, and he may know their strengths and weaknesses. So in some ways, it's really learning like, well, how can I handle the ball around this defender? They may come and get it from me if I do anything too flashy. So, but he is definitely improving in all facets of his game, and ball handling is one of them. But yeah, it really is about having a file on each one of the players that he plays against. It's like Durant this, Kawhi this. He has to know the league and he has to know the players, and then he can start breaking down mismatches, tendencies, strengths and weaknesses, what he needs to do to help the Raptors in whatever situation with whatever they're dealing with. So it's really learning and knowledge specifically of specific players. Very much. G saying, yes, Scotty is bending lower and has better control of his handle now. Yeah, he is lower to the ground. And, it could be work with Remy. It could be work with Brian Macon. It could be work with Jim Sand and Darko and the new coaches, for sure. A really cool thing that Scotty said yesterday, that was a huge, huge thing that made me very happy, because I've had a worry about him being teachable. He's very teachable, and I'm not worried about this anymore. When we got our new coaching staff, I said one of the things that's going to be important for Darko's new coaching staff is to have player coaches, meaning not that they play, but they're coaches that actually played professional basketball and had careers that can be respected by our players. I was worried because we got Mike the Bulldozer Baptiste, who's a Greek league legend. He's an MVP. He's in the Hall of Fame of the Greek basketball league over there. He's a legend in Greece. But in some ways, that doesn't translate to anybody knowing who the hell he is on North America. Well, in some cases, a xenophobic NBA player who's just America this, America that, may be like, I don't give a shit who Mike the Bulldozer Baptiste is, or his accomplishments, or what he did over there. Who gives a fuck who he is? But Scotty said this. He said, we've got some assistant coaches that have overseas playing experience, and it's really valuable. Basketball is different in different places, but these guys really know stuff. And he said, the thing he said specifically, he said, these guys have a lot of knowledge to give us and a lot of really good stuff. And that I loved hearing that, because this was one of my worries is, are they going to buy into guys that aren't NBA experienced guys just because these guys played overseas as our assistant coaches? Well, Scotty signaled, he said, I'm listening to these guys and these guys know what they're talking about. And I'm finding a lot of really good information from their different perspectives from playing in other leagues. So I love that Scotty said that. In some ways, I love that he doesn't discount these guys as being pros, even though they did not play in the NBA. So this is a big deal. In some ways, I was worried, just like, they're not going to listen to him because he's a Greek player. No, they're listening to him. And Scottie very much, he specifically said, I'm really interested in learning from our assistant coaches that played in foreign countries. So I like this. I like this a lot. And I'm glad he's bought in and he respects the foreign careers of Mike, the Bulldozer Batista, and the other guys. It's very important. Seriously. Very, very important. Let's see. Sue's saying, I think we're faster and stronger this year, and Scottie looks like he will be a beast this year. Yeah, the warning's out. They can put these polls out and say what player is going to be breaking out this year. Y'all don't put Scottie on there, then your poll is fallacy because you need to put Scott as one of those options. Because if you don't see what's coming right now, NBA, you got your eyes and your ears closed, and you don't want to see reality because this is coming. And y'all can think we're crazy Raptors fans, and we always think pie in the sky, the most positive things about my team. No. This is my educated basketball eyes, just like those scouts that were at Vancouver that watched Scottie in the first half against the Kings saying the same damn thing. This is scary, and the league is in trouble to a degree with the possible potential of Scottie Barnes and what he can do. It's the thing is, it's like I said, it's the meeting of all the things you need in the NBA to beat people: size, strength, speed, smarts, unselfishness. This man has it all, and he can beat any single person in this league with any one of those skills. He just has to figure out which skill to use on which guy. And the more he does this, the more he's just going to dominate whoever the fuck he wants. We know this. I've seen this in the league with different players. And when you have that ability to beat somebody off the dribble or go over them overpoweringly with strength, you can't stop a player like Scottie. And that's what I'm saying. It's coming real soon. And as Raptors fans, we're going to be really, really happy when it does, because we're going to get those feelings like when Kawhi ran with us. We really, really are. Seriously, we're going to get those feelings back again because Scottie Barnes is our guy. And we're going to all be like, man, Masai, thank you for drafting Scottie. And we're going to be just like the Spurs are right now with Victor. It was worth the Tampa season because look at what Scottie has become in his third year as an NBA player. I'm telling you, it's coming. He is going to be a beast this year. And Sue is exactly right. Fiercely saying, watch the first 3 quarters of the Phoenix versus the Blazers game. I have no idea why Ayton calls himself dominating because he was real bad. I'm happy we didn't get him. Yeah, it's weird. It's weird. I know you're watching those Phoenix Suns. They're going to be very interesting this year, Fiercely. You got that team in the in-season tournament. Very, very interesting stuff there. All right, let's go look at some of the stuff from last night real quick with the scores. We had a very close game between Orlando and Cleveland, where Orlando ended up winning at the end. Of course, we had the big game in Montreal last night for Oklahoma City hosting Detroit Pistons. Lou Dort, the host of the Canada Series in Montreal, and he had a good scoring game. He really did put on a show for them. Unfortunately, the Pistons prevailed in the end by 3, 128 to 125. But great showing out there. And there is really a true connection between Oklahoma City and Montreal. The Lou Dort, SGA, the people came out and they loved them. In some ways, it's nice that the Raptors didn't have to do all the Canada Series games this year, and that Oklahoma City could come up to this side of the border and do the game for Montreal last night. That's fantastic. 2 years in a row, Montreal gets a good game. I don't know if that signals something about the NBA testing that market for possible expansion. In some ways, I really do truly believe Vancouver, I'm sorry, I think Montreal should get the next shot in Canada to get an NBA team. Maybe y'all get the WNBA team, like I said earlier this week. And maybe Montreal gets the next expansion NBA team in Canada, because, man, they really support last year us against the Celtics, and then last night against the Pistons with the Thunder. Washington beating Charlotte in a close game. Washington's going to be interesting next Friday. Atlanta beating the Grizzlies. The Israeli team is still playing amidst the conflict in Israel. They want to play to give people a distraction. They were in Brooklyn last night playing Ben Simmons and the Nets, and they got beat by 30 something points. So yeah, they're still on their tour in the preseason. The Bulls beating the Nuggets in 2 overtimes last night. That's a battle. Of course, we're going to see the Bulls very soon. Houston routing the Pelicans, and then as was said before, Phoenix beating Portland. There's kind of scores last night. Thanks, Fiercey, on that one. Yeah. Aiton's kind of a fallacy. Yeah. MSJ saying if they use Yak on the elbow, it's going to create space off the baseline and driving lanes for OG and Barnes. Yak has to hit the elbow jumper. And Paul Jones is my favorite Raptors game caller live. There you go. Yeah, we'll share the love for Jonesy tomorrow. He's an original. He's from the beginning. We did Leo earlier this summer. I want to take care of our original broadcasters. And Paul Jones is definitely somebody we need to share the love for. So we're going to do that tomorrow. You're getting your day tomorrow, Paul. Yeah, I love it. All right. Yeah, I think that the usage of Yak is going to be very key to our success this year. In some ways, sure, it does matter whether he can be a threat to hit certain shots from a certain distance. But also at the same time, I really do feel like the ingenuity and the flexibility of Darko will allow, if things aren't exactly working with some of the things we want to do with Jakob, for change and changing it to the way that it will work. So it's always at the drawing board kind of thing. It's a work in progress, and there's going to be tinkering and changing all kinds of different ways. And that's one of the things that I didn't like. The madness of last year is we continue to do the same thing over and over again and fail. That's what I'm really looking for with Darko, is being willing to change mistakes and change things quickly to make them work. Sometimes Nick would beat something over the head and just try and force it to fit. And it would eventually, but what cost of what kind of losing and kind of awkwardness to get it to finally get to there. And in some ways, forcing what's unnatural is never a good thing. In some ways, you should kind of go with the flow of natural stuff. And I feel like that's part of the philosophy of how Darko wants to lead this team, is go with the flow of what naturally kind of makes sense or is natural to the players and how they like to do things. And that's very, very important. Yeah. MSJ, Sue saying, yep, haha, yep, haha. MSJ saying that, Sue, I hope you're making it easy. Made all the answers C in the multiple choice tests. Easy marking that way. All right, I don't know. You're talking about Christmas tree and test or something. Lesline is here. Good to see a Raptor freak, Lesline Hart, someone who's been with us many, many times over the years. And we love you, Lesline. Let's see what she has to say today. Nav brings so much positivity to the Raptors, and he gives out free tickets to kids and families. Nav is the original Raptors freak. Yeah. In some ways, I mean, he's the original Raptors super fan, but he's definitely a Raptors freak for sure. But yeah, I really appreciate that. And it's so fun to see that end of the conversation with Dennis. He's in the car and they're driving up the lakeshore, and all of a sudden an ambulance comes flying by and just like, whoa. And he's like, yeah, really cool content. And them being in OVO and hanging around in there. I do want to say this. Dennis, your buddy Alex cannot be wearing Celtics gear in our training center. Fuck that. I know you played for the Celtics a couple years ago, but your buddy Alex needs to get rid of that shamrock bullshit that he's wearing around our facility. Don't let that motherfucker wear that shit anymore. All right, seriously. We don't like seeing Celtics shit on your entourage. So get them some Raptors gear ASAP and stop letting these guys wear the Lakers and Celtics stuff from recent years that you played for. Yeah, I don't like seeing people come into our building wearing that bullshit. Yeah, that's what I'm going to say right now. That's how diehard I am. One of the things that happened in that clip, too, was Dennis is walking out of OVO Center, and he's looking at the pictures on the wall, and he sees the pictures of our championship parade, and he points to one down near the exhibition place, Princess of Wales Gates, with the bus and Norman Powell and Kyle Lowry and all them standing up there with the cigars and the booze and the glasses and the hats. And he sees the crowd, and he points to the crowd in the picture, and he said, that's like Braunschweig. That's what he said. It's basically saying it was just like the day that they had to celebrate him in his hometown in Germany when they filled that whole entire square. Dennis, with all due respect, that is not what like Braunschweig was like. You guys had like, I don't know, maybe 10,000 people there. Yeah, we had like 2 million people at our championship parade in that picture. That was just one section of it. And you can say that was Braunschweig. Well, maybe like 100 Braunschweigs on that day. Seriously, go look at the footage from our championship parade and get us another one, buddy, so you can see it at firsthand from the bus. That's what I'm saying right there. Yeah. There you go. Trevor J saying the NBA has fined Dylan Brooks $25,000 for hitting Tice in the nuts. Yeah, they came in heavy-handed because he came in heavy-handed. So heavy-handed meets heavy-handed. And you know what is funny? This man's already got a 25K fine going in the season, 4 minutes into the season. And it's not even the season, it's the preseason. Yeah, very interesting stuff. Rockets, you're getting what you get from your new guys. This is what you get from them. Seriously. Kareem saying, I'm surprised Nav doesn't have a hearing aid in. I'm sure DeMar's daughter popped his eardrums. And I'm also going to download her scream for when trick-or-treaters come to my door for Halloween. All right, you're really trying here. And I got to recognize this effort because that's really good stuff. If you actually do that, Kareem, where you actually get that and you do that, that would be so hilarious. I want video of it if you do that. If you use the DR DeRozan scream at your house to make it a spook house, I'm all about that. That's hilarious. That makes it's all better just because of the comedy of it, for sure. Well, I'm going to tell y'all something. When we have our Chicago game next week, you will want to hear that marquee main event matchup. Yeah, they're going to be fun. I'm going to put a lot of thought into these. And they're going to be hilarious. Watch. The one for this Sunday is going to be good too, y'all. I've already figured it all out. And I'm working on the one for Wednesday also. The main event marquee matchup, instead of the mascot matchup, is just main events. Forces against each other in different competitions. So, yeah, the one with the Chicago game is going to be a lot of fun. Let's just put it that way. I think Nav, in some ways, him doing what he's doing to the players, giving them cars and stuff, seriously, this all makes up for it. Nav's not a bad force on our team, even though we lost the play-in partly because of DR being his guest, yelling at the side. He understands he messed up in that way, and he probably never wants to make a situation like that ever happen again. So we forgive Nav for that. We do. Fiercely saying, I can't wait for the season to start. No more calling us mid. Watch out, NBA and haters. Yeah, I don't know who you can call us mid from last season. That's fair. I don't like it when they call us bad. In some ways, that's a fair way of saying mid. Well, we're going to rise up from mid. We're not going to be below mid, and we're not going to be mid very soon. We're going to be better than mid very, very soon. Country Kong saying, are we spoiling Dennis? Private jets and Nissans? Hyundais. I get it, but this just reminds me of the Summer League ballroom fiasco. Nav is still in my doghouse for his choice of playing game entourage. Listen, I'm going to say this right now. If it was somebody else, I would say, yeah, this is maybe a problem. Some ways the NBA players get spoiled and pampered all kinds of different ways. This is true. But in some ways, when it's a guy like Dennis that is proven to work hard and is an ultimate professional, it's not a big deal. In some ways, he's at the top level of his profession. He is the MVP of the FIBA World Cup. And in some ways, he deserves this kind of stuff. So this is the thing. I don't think it goes to Dennis's head. It's not like this makes him slack or take it easy. He goes just as hard no matter what. So that's the only thing I would worry about this. If we want our guys to be happy and pampered and taken care of, yes, so that they can focus on basketball, so they can focus on winning, so they can focus on getting better and staying healthy. And I'm okay with that. Any kind of support system at any kind of way, Bhatia giving them cars, the private jet from Germany to Canada, that's great. And in fact, in some ways, once again, it shows the level of how much we care about winning and how much we care about taking care of our guys so they can succeed. And there's nothing wrong with any of that. In some ways, if they're young guys who haven't proven anything or haven't earned anything, or they're knuckleheads and they just come in and they want to take it all and they're not really producing or working hard, then I wouldn't have a problem with it. But that is not the characteristic of our team, whether it's Scottie, Dennis, Thaddeus, Pascal, OG. None of these guys are just taking things for granted. They're working their asses off, and we support them fully as we can. And that's the way I look at it. The ballroom fiasco is more about maybe that wasn't the right setting as far as the ceiling with shooting. There's a really cool clip of Masai at the ballroom this summer nailing a long shot from outside. We see Masai Ujiri's jump shot and just how fluid it was. And everybody's like, whoa, can your team president do that? That's right. Can your team president shoot a jump shot like Masai Ujiri? I don't know. I don't know if you can. Pat Croce used to be able to do that. Oh, that's true. Let's see. All right, let's see. Kareem saying the East is so top heavy. I got Milwaukee, Boston, then the rest is fair playing field. I don't have those two teams on top. I really don't. I really, really don't. I mean, maybe Milwaukee. I'll give Milwaukee. I have no faith in Boston. I really don't. I think everybody's misreading Boston right now. And they're going to be very shocked at how bad they are this year. I really, really do think that. I think that they really fucked up with their moves this summer. In some ways, it's weird because their moves look like big, flashy moves that really improve them. But in some ways, I disagree completely. That in some ways, they're getting hyped. That this is why Boston's so much the favorite because of the moves they made. And to me, they became less of a favorite because of the moves they made. Now, on the other hand, on the other side of the coin is us. They look at our moves and they say, oh, this team's got them worse. Well, this is how stupid it is. They look at this and they just think, oh, math in the NBA, this person leaves, this person comes in, it adds up to this with wins and losses. They're wrong. In some ways, there's so many things that matter about getting better and getting worse. And in some ways, we, as these scouts said, when they saw us play against Sacramento, we are better this year, and they're sleeping on it because they don't understand our deals. They're not big, flashy deals like Dennis Schröder, Jalen McDaniels, drafting Gradey Dick, hiring Darko Rajaković. But these deals are huge in some ways to make us better. In some ways, they did not get better, Boston. I will say this every single day. And right on through the season, y'all see I'm right. Grant Williams, Marcus Smart, Malcolm Brogdon, Robert Williams III, those four players were very crucial to their defense and how good they play on the defensive end. The Celtics are not going to be as good defensively this year, and it's going to show, and it's going to hurt their win total. I'm telling y'all right now. And then you add in the fact that their coach is a fake. He's not a good coach. He's not very smart, first of all. Why do you guys think the Celtics are so good? They lost their heart and soul named Marcus Smart. They lost Grant Williams, their dirty guy who does all this dirty rolling around and hitting people. They lost their Time Lord. What, they got a stick man? That stick man is garbage. He's not going to help them. He's going to hurt them more. He's going to help them. Watch. And then, oh, okay, you got Drew Holiday. That is a good move. But you lost 3 good defensive players for 1 good defensive player. Seriously, think about the math. And once again, Coach Joe is a fake. He doesn't know what he's fucking doing. He's a puppet for Brad Stevens, and he's going to be horrible as a coach this year. And the Celtics fans are going to turn on him. Remember, I said all this. So do not include Celtics at the top. I'll put Milwaukee up there because Giannis and Dame's going to be a very interesting pairing. But yeah, I don't believe in the Celtics. I don't believe in the Sixers either. And those are 2 of the top teams that people are saying. I'm telling y'all, we're going to be up there instead. It's going to be us up there with Milwaukee. And it ain't going to be, who's going to be leading the Atlantic Division by New Year's? Toronto. That's right. I'm going to say that right now. People may think you're crazy, Lex. You think the Raptors are going to be number 1 in the Atlantic Division on New Year's Eve? Well, let's see who's right when New Year's comes around. Seriously. Because in some ways, all right, the Knicks are dangerous. They're a little bit better. Sure. I'm going to give them credit. The Nets are figuring things out. They're on the right track, but we'll see what their growth speed is. And in some ways, I have no faith in Ben Simmons in any kind of way. He's a knucklehead. So, yeah, we'll see how things work out. I really don't think the Celtics and the Sixers, they know the Sixers are kind of already. They're kind of already hedging their bets. They're like, I don't know about the Sixers. They're already like that. Well, they're going to be more and more like that with the Celtics as soon as they see it. It's just the hype machine wants to believe the Celtics are better, but they're not. They're not. They got worse this offseason. That's the hilarious thing. ESPN's trying to say they had one of the best off seasons this summer, when in reality they had one of the worst, honestly. They seriously did. Holy crap, they did. Stargate saying, I implore the fans to have patience with the team. There are going to be lots of mistakes, missed assignments, miscues, turnovers early on. Expect it and just keep supporting the team. This is one of the things I love about what Darko said yesterday. He expects mistakes too. And so does Scottie. So does Thaddeus. They're saying it all together. And fans do need to keep this in mind. But this is the thing. Mistakes are great. Mistakes are to learn from. Mistakes are to be adjusted from. And mistakes, being daring and passing and trying to cultivate more of a flow to your offense are much more worthwhile than mistakes when you're being scared and kind of being conservative and not sharing the ball. So there's discovery in mistakes with Darko's system, whereas the mistakes in Nick's system weren't discoveries, just keep doing the same damn thing and just try and avoid those mistakes. Well, in some ways, it's going to be a whole different kind of way of how we deal with mistakes. And the other thing is, once again, they're very much talking about how do you deal with making mistakes in the game and how can you move on right to the next thing instead of like dwelling on the mistake you just made. In some ways, it's not about making the mistake. It's about how do you carry on after the mistake and what you're doing on the court. Do you make one mistake and then you get out of your head and all of a sudden you make two more mistakes? That is what we're talking about. And that's what Jakob said the other day. What do we do when we're down? What do we do when we're floundering? What do we do when we're getting our ass kicked? How do we come together and how do we fight back? How do we find confidence and identity in when we're losing to rise up and change the tide of the game? That was a big problem last year. We just kind of rolled over and died a lot of times in games last year. Teams just kicked our ass at the end of the game. It was over. That's what we're talking about. We want to have that mentality. You got to make mistakes. You got to crack some eggs to make some cakes. And in some ways, we're going to have to crack some eggs and make some mistakes. And it's just part of the process. And it shouldn't be something that people just quibble and really make a big deal out of, because those mistakes lead to fixing it and being better the next day. It's a process. It's a journey. And yes, I love this statement. This is exactly right. We should expect there to be miscues. You should expect there to be a certain amount of ugliness, but I don't think there will be a whole lot. I think that part of the reason why is if Darko's schemes are really smart and they work, well, we have really smart guys and they listen and they execute them to a T. They should work. And then boom, maybe we'll have less mistakes and less trouble than people think. I'm bracing for the mistakes and ready for trouble with our team. But in some ways, I'm also allowing for the space that things are going to work out and these guys are going to take to it like ducks to water. And it's just going to be badass to watch. That it could be like the Sacramento game. There were mistakes in that game, but too much more good stuff was happening around the bad mistakes that we won anyway. That's what I'm talking about. That's what I'm talking about. That right there. Yeah. Well, Darko's not afraid of mistakes. That's for damn sure. Cowboys saying, everybody have a blessed day. Got to go later, Lex. Bam. And Raptor Freaks, let's go. You go, Bradley. Have a safe TGIF. Happy Friday the 13th. Yeah. Kareem saying, I'm thinking Dennis might get everyone a Rolex seeing his sponsorship, but I also think Pascal should gift the entire Sixers team Shoot Like a Pro as a friendly gesture, as it helped us wonderfully. All right, Kareem. All right. All right. You do another one like that today. You might be getting the NBA jam. He's on fire. That's right. There's two today that are just unstoppable. That move is like a Scottie Barnes low post move, what he just said. He basically bullied me into giving him a dunk because he made such a funny dunk right there. I think that's hilarious. I could see Dennis trying to do that. We'll see. And, Siakam, that Siakam joke's hilarious, man. That is hilarious. That's Nick Nurse's book that he's saying right there. He wants to get them all that book. That's hilarious. I mean, listen, the signs have been there. Siakam said, stop playing piano with your life this summer. Who plays the fucking piano that we know? That's right, Nick Nurse. Stop playing piano with your life. And then Thaddeus is laughing when they said, what's the difference between this year and last year? Laughing because he's just like, oh my gosh, things are so much nicer. His wife, Shakina, is so much happier on Twitter all of a sudden, even though she's scared of COVID. She's still like, I'm so happy with what's going on with Dad and the team that he's going to get a chance this year. Oh my gosh. Fiercely saying, agreed at Kareem. The East will definitely be more exciting to watch. Let the best teams be on top. Go Raptors, go. Some people look at it this way. The West is much more stacked with like 10 or 12 really good teams, and the East is weaker again right now. I don't know how to really gauge that. I guess when we see East versus West teams, we'll know more about that. But in some ways, I kind of see what they're saying. There's a little bit more promise on the Western Conference teams than overall than the Eastern Conference teams this season. People are already saying Boston and Milwaukee like y'all did. But in some ways after that, it gets muddy. It gets muddy about who exactly will be doing what, for sure. Stargate saying the team does have shooters. Yeah, the team does have shooters. The problem is that nowadays fans perceive the team shooters as solely those who are good 3-point shooters. Example, Clay, Steph, Dame, which is incorrect. Look at DeMar, SGA, and others who are not great 3-point shooters, but are still good shooters. Yeah, I think that in some ways they look at our field goal percentage from three. Well, the first game with Darko, our field goal percentage from three was almost 50%. That's a very stark difference from the average from last year. And it really is getting better open quality shots for them. They pass the ball along more and they get it to the guy in the corner. This year, we're the team hitting the corner three with nobody around them because we beat them around the horn. to get the ball to OG in the corner, and he's nailing that corner three when they can't get to him in time, instead of it happening to us. That'll happen more likely. I love the ideas that, in some ways we're thinking about where your energy expenditures are. Darko talked about the 82 game season mandate by Joe Dumars. He said, well, I think this is good. And I think it's important to rest my guys for the whole entire year to get to the place where they can stay healthy and we can have a lot of different guys in good shape at different times. So I'm going to be playing 10 deep most of the time. Sometimes I'll play 9 deep, but most of the time I'm going to be playing 10 deep. And he said that this is really to keep guys energetic on the court with what I want to do, which is something I was crying out for last year to Nick. I was like, rotate guys in and out more, keep them fresh so you can really have that really crazy like energy on the defensive aggressiveness that you're wanting them to do, Nick. It just makes sense. But he overplayed guys and tired them out. Well, this is a big deal. And Darko's already saying that I'm going to do the opposite. I'm going to play deeper in the bench. We're going to give more equal minutes. It's going to be easier on the guys for the whole 82 game season so that we can get the best quality out of these guys. And they're not going to be dog tired. They're not going to be getting hurt more easily because they're overplayed. There's all kinds of good outcomes from spreading out the minutes just a bit more and making it more equitable and having a deeper rotation. You get more development with the guys that was failed at last year. You get more development from young players that are coming up in our system, like Gradey Dick and Christian Koloko, hopefully coming back soon. So yeah, I love that. And I agree with this. It's an idea about what, mid-range shooters. Gary Trent can shoot the three, but he can shoot inside. I mean, we do have good shooters. Otto's coming back. Grady got drafted. Gary's still here. Scottie and Pascal are increasing and getting better as three-point shooters. OG is a really good three-point shooter already. There are good shooters on our team. It's just that they didn't look like they were good shooters last year because of the system. Once again, we'll blame the system last year. MSJ saying, what happened last year? Nick Nurse is a stubborn man who thought the coach, he coached the team to a chip, but that was Lowry and the system, Casey. Now he sucks. Maybe Embiid will sit on him with his bowel issues. Oh my gosh. All right. I know these are all my laundry list of things I'm saying about Nick right now. And I agree. I think that a lot of them are true, though. I think a lot of them are true for sure. I think that, I do think Nick sucks. I do think Nick sucks as a coach. I think he was a flash in the pan. Sometimes people are just one-hit wonders. I'm sorry. And sometimes the stars align and they get put in a really good situation where they really shine bright. And in some ways, it's a lot of other things around them that make them look bright. If Nick was still our coach, I would be championing him and putting propaganda out the other way. But he's the coach of the Sixers. So it's very easy for me to start downplaying his legend right now. In some ways, he is an opportunist. He was in the right place at the right time with the right schedule on our team to do what he did with that. In some ways, people say, well, who would have took us there? Would Casey have taken us there? Would another coach have taken us? That's a fair point. But once again, I'll say he's a one-hit wonder. He could do it once, but I don't think he can do it again. And if Sixers fans think he's going to get y'all Larry O'Brien, yeah, right. Yeah, right. Sue's saying 13 is a goddess, and the Celtics and Norse thought it was lucky and celebrated. Oh, the Celts. I should say the Celts. She doesn't mean the Celtics. Yeah, 13 it's an interesting number. There's the triskaidekaphobia or whatever, the fear of the number 13. Some people have that. Some people are crazy. They don't have elevators that have the 13th floor. It gets really superstitious with that number. And today, I think it's a good luck day, though. Seriously, it's a good day. Like when I worked at the convenience store, I hope y'all been watching my 5-year drops from a year ago, 5 years ago at the convenience store. This was a day that OLG people came and played like crazy. Oh my gosh, I'd be in the convenience store on a Friday the 13th, and everybody wanted to buy tickets on that day. Seriously, we get a lot of business on a day like today. They think it's the opposite, that it's actually a lucky day. A lot of people do. Yeah. Sue's saying people are encouraged to make love and celebrate on the 13th. Sounds good to me. All right, Sue. All right, there you go. Get your Friday the 13th on, Sue. That's right. No Jason Voorhees here. It's just a sweet love-making afternoon. That's right. All right, Alan Tam's here. Good to see Alan Tam. Bam, son. Dodgers, Atlanta, Baltimore, 3 teams with a 100-win regular season, but all eliminated from the MLB playoffs. Bam, son. Damn. Wow, that's interesting. And Nameless is here. He's saying, Buongiorno, amici. Good morning, friends. Good morning to you, my Italian teacher. Love you, Nameless. So happy to see you. Country Kong saying, I watched another of Grady's high school games. Man, oh man, this guy's an absolute dead-eye sniper. Lex, earlier this summer, I told you Kansas held him back. At 13, Masai got a huge steal with Grady. The more I think about this, Country Kong, I think you're right. One of the things that's very interesting that portends in the future for Grady is if he gets a couple more inches on his height and he continues to be the same dead eye, he's a very dangerous weapon because he's a very tall outside shooter and he is fundamentally crazy good. He's played a certain way with his shot since he was a little kid and he hasn't really changed it. He very much is fundamentally perfect. There's certain things about how he does things with his form and his fundamentals that tell me that this is entrenched in him. Like this is just how he does it. And these kind of players are kind of old school. We don't have enough disciplined players coming into the league that show the fundamental, like overdoing it and really ingraining this is my rut of how I shoot every single time. And it's money, baby. It's automatic. In some ways, guys have variance on their shots now with the way they hold the ball or the way they release or the way they kick their feet or anything like that. There can be variance in people's jump shots. And that is what can cause you not to be a sure shot. Well, that's what I'm telling you. Grady, like what you just said, is he's a dead eye. And it's because he's fundamentally perfect in some ways. In some ways, what he does every single time is a mirror image of what he does 5 minutes later. He's very detailed and very determined and very much the same pattern and fundamental motion with the shot every time. He's dialed in. He's going to make them like crazy. And it's going to be awesome. If he grows another 2 inches, he'll be almost 7 foot. And that'll be even more impressive. And I could see that. He's only 19. And in 2 years, just like with Scott, we grew from 6'8" to 6'11". Yeah, this could be a similar thing. And just to think about that possibility, Country Kong, if Grady puts on 2 more inches, he's even taller. That's part of the reason why, in some ways, I'm like, holy crap, I'm glad we got him over Hawkins, who I wanted Hawkins. I wanted Jordan Hawkins. And when they drafted Grady, I was like, I wasn't too thrilled. But the more I think about it and think about what they did, Masai and Bobby were right. I need to trust them. Jordan Hawkins is shorter than Grady. And in some ways, what happens with Grady and his height could make him even more valuable down the road. Just think, Dirk Nowitzki kind of shit. That's what I'm talking about. Dirk Nowitzki kind of shit at his height is what I'm talking about. That's right. Fiercely saying Nick Nurse's method will be a baseline to Darko's, and we will indeed notice the details. That mindset is already 100%. Enthusiasm is on top. Love watching the funny IG reels, and we're all the way up. The Fat Joe song. Yeah, we're all the way up. Yeah, no, I mean, it's just natural to want to compare the season last year with Nick and the season that we're starting this year with Darko. It's just natural that it's going to happen. There's going to be a lot of content out there that will talk about this in different places. And I will be one of them. I'm very coach and referee and team oriented kind of stuff. That's what I like to cover on this channel is the stuff the coach is doing with philosophies to try and get the team to win. We know this. When we do all the reaction streams the last 2 years, I'm coming back and I'm talking about, well, Nick, why didn't you do this? Or why didn't you play Jeffrey Doughton Jr. in this game? Why did you not play this lineup for this situation? Because you could have used the shooters or something like that. We've been nitpicky and analytical of specific decisions in games in the past 2 years in our reaction streams. So this will continue. And we'll give, Darko a fair shake. We'll understand there's some kinks to be worked out in a new system, but also at the same time, we will be critical of him the same kind of ways when necessary with certain things that we see also. Because he's not getting a free pass. It's just we want to see what's happening, and we'll be real about it. That's what I'm saying, yeah. Nameless is saying, agreed, Country Kong. Bobby was probably tripping over himself to draft Grady. No brainer. Yeah, in some ways, it's like this guy was projected to be like an 8th pick, and we got him at 13th. Another win for our front office. They don't want to talk about that. If we had a better propaganda outfit, I'm part of it. If we had even more people and more mainstream, if our own media in Canada was promoting us like the LA media promoted the Lakers, we'd have more people and voices out there saying shit like this, that the Raptors got to steal. at 13, a top 10 draft pick at 13. And that's another masterful, amazing move. Maybe if the fucker Ed Rogers didn't own Rogers Sportsnet, we would hear more people, pundits on our TV up here, espousing the victories of Bobby Webster, Masai Ujiri, and Teresa Resch by getting Gradey when they did. Seriously, because this is truly a win. And we're going to find out more and more in the years to come. That's right. There's Fiercely putting Thad on blast. I love that. Name was saying if Gradey's last name wasn't Dick, he would have been 5 through 7. I firmly believe that. There's a lot of homophobes around. I don't think this is true. I do not think this is true at all. I think this is a ridiculous take, honestly, Nameless. I don't think his name had anything to do with anything. I think that people saw other players and they valued them at different places, and that's why they picked them before him. And we were just lucky. He happened to fall through the cracks, and we got him there. In some ways, the philosophy of drafting the very best player available was what Masai and Bobby did. And they saw, okay, the very best player available is Gradey. We just got to take him. It's a no-brainer. In some ways, it's a no-brainer because we need shooting so badly, and we consider him the best shooter in this draft. So, yeah. Let's see. Wayne Strainer saying, what? Homophobes against his name? Do explain. Yeah, I would wonder. Like, wouldn't they like the name? No, wait. Homophobes. Oh, yeah, I get what you're saying. Yeah, I don't get that. That's kind of a weird take, Nameless. I don't know. He's saying homophobes will not like to see or repeat that name for the next 10 years. Well, maybe adults that don't want, I don't know. It's silly. In some ways, the word dick has a lot of different connotations. It's a person's name, it's a first name. It is also a penis, but there's also other things like you could be a dick, like you're a jerk, or, I'm trying to think of all the different ways you can use that word. I don't know. Maybe there's some other like verbs and noun versions of dick. But in some ways, I'm like, I mean, I get what you're trying to say, but it really is kind of silly. It's silly, Nameless. Come on. Kareem saying, I'm always hearing that Scottie Barnes is going to be aggressive this year, which is true, but I want Scottie to be mean. I want you, not him, Scottie. You need him to tap into the mama mentality. I think you're going to get that also. I think part of it is this. If we know anything about his Twitch activities and how he played in there and his mentality of trying to beat people, some ways what he's describing is he's going to try and perceive the mismatches on the court and he's going to go bully people. That's kind of what I'm taking from him. Like if he sees he has a smaller defender on him, he's going to back him down and go right over top of him. If he sees he has a big guy like Jokic on him, he's going to dribble around him and he's going to try and throw it down in the lane on the rest of them. So in some ways, yes, this is true. He's going to be aggressive and he's going to be like, you are not him. I am him is what he's going to be like. And he's going to be out there. I could see this. Kobe Bryant is a huge influence on Scottie Barnes and the way he looks at the game. And this is definitely something he has, Mamba mentality. We're going to see it. And that's going to be part of the thing that scares the hell out of everybody in the rest of the league. He does have this. I've seen it. He has it. He does. Country Kong saying, Nameless, I'm trying to contain my excitement for Gradey. Lex and I disagree. I think he'll make all rookie, and he thinks he needs G League time. I agree with your theory on his name, and it's lost. Yeah, I don't agree with you guys on that. And I don't agree with you on the rookie thing either. This rookie class is stacked. If you think about it with Chet Holmgren waiting a year and coming in as a rookie with Victor, you got Scoot Henderson, you got these Thompson twins. There's so many other rookies that are going to get a lot on blast. You got to even think about Keontae George and some of these other dudes that are going to be pretty good too. In some ways, Grady's not going to get as much attention. In some ways, Gradey may not get as much time on our team if we're going to do the proper development curve for him. I still think I'm right that he'll be heavy G League and he'll be end of the rotation player. He may be our 10th guy on our bench, maybe even our 11th. So please temper expectations for Gradey and realize the first season is orientation. This is the NBA. This is the business. These are the players. These are the coaches. This is the way this thing works. This is how we travel. This is how we work out. This is how you're a pro. And in some ways, Gradey doesn't need the kind of like things on his shoulders like Victor or Chet or the Thompson twins who are expected to come in and do heavy lifting for their teams and be absolutely one of the top 3 options on all their teams. So Grady's not expected to do this. Gradey is not expected to be like a top 5 option for us. I think that you got Pascal, Scottie, OG, Gary, maybe even Precious, Chris. These guys are all going to be options ahead of him. And that's why I'm just saying it's a pecking order thing. And Darko's very much nodded to that he cares about like the proper way of developing in the order of things. And in some ways, Gradey's starting from the bottom. He's a rookie and he's got to take the right steps and earn each step. And that's why I don't think from the start he's going to get to play like Victor and Chet and get all that stuff. And in some ways, there won't be the buzz around him like the other rookies because of Toronto once again. So in some ways, he has to be super overpoweringly like played like Scottie was in his rookie year to get those kind of considerations. And he won't be, and he shouldn't be. So I know we may be in the middle. What happens actually? I may be too far into G League, and he may be more on the main roster than I think, but it's going to be less than y'all think too. It'll be maybe somewhere in the middle between what we're seeing. I want him on the G League for every single G League game. I do, because I think that'll help him in the long run way better than sitting on the bench and traveling around with the Raptors when he could be in Mississauga actually getting like 30 minutes a game and putting up like 20, 10 stat lights, 20 and 10 stat lines, which is what I'd like to see him get more work doing, especially because he was a rookie only 1 year with Kansas. He had 1 year of college and he played like 30, 40 something games. This man needs more reps. He needs more time on the court. And in some ways, yeah, he'll get some time with the main roster, but he'll get way more time in Mississauga. That's the main reason why I say that. Let's see. Wayne's saying Raptors winning 55 plus games is within their abilities. I don't see any other team with everything assembled to accomplish this feat. Our team last year played the Nuggets and handled them just fine. This was a point made by Paul Jones and Sherman Hamilton on Raptors Today yesterday. That look, we were 41 and 41. I said this earlier this summer too. And we still got that record with all the confusion and not being on the same page. That speaks to how talented and badass we are that we were still 500 and we were 41 and 41. A team with that bad of chemistry would have been like a 20-win team if it wasn't for our talent. So just imagine if we do have things, good vibes going, and it is working, 55 games is not out of the question. That 36 or whatever, 39 prediction by Vegas is going to look real stupid real soon. And, 55 wins, Dennis is saying 51, and then he's saying, why not 60 when he's talking to Nav? So these guys are aiming high, and they really are going to be trying to do some amazing things. So it depends on the aptitude and just how quickly Darko is badass with his system. I can see it happening quickly and coming together very fast. I think that may shock some people this year. I really do. MSJ saying, when I saw the Kings game, I saw the Magic. I was rather shocked. It's real. I also watched Chet Holmgren last night, and he's very quick, very smart, loves to hit the box out even. Rookie of the year pick for him. See, a lot of people are thinking that Chet's going to be that guy this year, but I still think it's going to be Victor. I think Victor is going to be it's really interesting and special. Really, really special. He's going to be changing this game very soon. And Chet, I'm a hater. So I'm gonna be on Bhaatia's side every time this kind of debate comes up. I'm gonna be pro Victor because I got a Spurs jacket right here. There's a Spurs jacket hanging behind me on this right here, and that is my Western team. So yeah, I don't like Chet. Chet looks gross. He's like Slim Man or something, Slender Man to me or something. I don't know what's going on with Chet. He's weirdo. Name was saying Dick Butkus. That was the 40s, man. Dick Butkus. You're talking about rest in peace. Dick Butkus passing away this past week. Man, yeah, Dick Butkus, man. You bringing him up. Wayne saying Chev made a point which was illuminating, in which he said Dylan Brooks' ejection was sending a signal to any FIBA-loving fans. This is the NBA, and don't bring it over here. Food for thought. Yeah, I guess, but that kind of was like a very dirty play by him, and I think it got exactly what it was supposed to get. It is really no place for what he did, honestly. In some ways, he wants to keep his brand up. Well, that's what it seems like to me. He wants to keep his brand up is what it was like, what that was. But I love what Chev's doing over there on his channel these days. He's been awesome. And a lot of the stuff he's saying right now is echoing what I'm saying, which is what I'm hearing. Country Kong saying that shot Gradey hit against Sacramento was special. Vincentkov was all over him, and it was nothing but nets. Nothing but net, swish, a dead-eye 6'8" mobile shooter, Peja Stojakovic, Laurie, Larry Bird, Dirk Nowitzki. Dirk Nowitzki. Yeah, if you can do a little stop and pop, like mid-range kind of stuff. Yeah. Yeah. In some ways, I could see that with him a little bit. Not on the level and the crazy, huge career of Dirk, but similarities, especially if he gets up there close to 7 foot. Especially, he's gonna be like maybe like no, I don't know if he'll be like Larry Markkinen. He could be like Laurie. I think he's more like Laurie out of those three. Maybe not really like Peja in some ways. I think he could be like Laurie because he does have a drive and it can attack the rim. And that's very interesting. Peja didn't attack the rim. And Larry really wasn't an athletic guy. In some ways, Grady's a way better athlete than Larry Bird. Let's just put it that way. Stargate saying at Kareem, back then, people weren't as sensitive to those things that it would have been like the issue, like Dick Butkus, Dick Clark, Dick Gregory, Dick Van Dyke, Andy Dick. In some ways, there was a decorum to society of maturity that these little dick jokes, there wasn't any like guffawing or little laughing. It's just a common name. And now it's just like we are immature more, and younger people maybe think, "Oh, dick," I think that's what it is in some ways. That in some ways back then it was just like, okay, whatever. So what? Their name is Dick. So what? I don't know. In some ways, it's going to be funny, as I said, with the broadcast this year when they say our rookie's name. Matt Devlin is not afraid of that last name, and phrasing issues could be very funny this year. Very, very funny. Randolph saying, beloved Raptor Freaks, most informative game. Good morning from beautiful Montreal, Quebec. We hosted another packed preseason NBA game last night. Fans were cheerful. Randolph, you were at the game last night? Blessings to you and the Phillips family and all the people at the Montreal Canada Series game last night. Fantastic stuff. I hope you got to that game and you represented the Raptor Freak would. We got our people all over. That's right. We are at the events that are around the basketball and the NBA in Canada, whether it's Raptors or not. I hope you were down there and let us know what you saw if you were at the Pistons Thunder game last night. That'd be awesome. Stargate saying, yeah, disrespectful. How dare this guy wearing Celtics shirt in our gym? Fuck off. Dennis, talk to your boy. Yeah, I'm wondering about that, Alex. Alex, I don't mind you being around Dennis, and I know you're one of his helpers, but man, get some new gear and don't fucking be bringing that shamrock into our arena or our practice facility anymore. No. It's a big no, Alex. Now, Joel's wearing the right gear, and Ellen and Dennis, but some reason you're going to want to wear Celtics gear in our building. You may be getting some Raptors fans against you real quick if you're going to do that kind of stuff around our team. No, Alex. Get you some new clothes right away. Let's see. Nameless is saying, agreed, Country Kong. It was a very special shot. The first shot by Gradey was like high level. It portends that Gradey is a very special scorer, that the very first shot he makes in preseason is a high level contested shot in a very difficult high degree of difficulty. Yeah, that says a lot right there. And it was fundamentally perfect. And that's why the crowd, the bench went crazy for the Raptors. The Raptors like, holy shit, look what he just did. That's a big deal. It's a big deal. Fiercey Scott laughing at Kareem. I love it. Name is saying a little glimpse of his talent as a skilled shooter. That's right. Fiercey saying, Lex, you skipped a few comments starting from Wayne Strainer, Nav comment. All right. We'll make sure I get back. All right, let me get back up there. Where's Wayne Strainer? I'll make sure I get all the comments. Okay, I think I see what you're talking about. Okay. Holy crap. I did miss a lot of comments. Okay. Okay. I think it's right here with right after Leslie, where she said the predictions American media made has us winning 36 games. I can't wait for us to smash it. Yeah, Fiercey saying, I wanted to see what the hype was with Scoot and the new Phoenix team with Nurkic versus Ayton. It was just all right. Nothing explosive or wow. We truly have the best center in Jakob. I like that. I like hearing that, Fiercey. Bam. Kareem saying, Scottie is going to have an incredible season. Do we have a nickname for him? Is it Mr. Scotia Bank, SB, Beam Me Up Scotty, Sir Hugs a Lot? Well, Scott's nickname that he uses on 2K is Scottie or Diamonds. Scottie or Diamonds. That's his own nickname that he wrote himself when he plays 2K. Now, I've called him Mr. 94 Feet because of his defensive, like, I want to guard like all up and down the court, full court press. We've also called him just SB4. I think SB4 is a good one. I don't know. He hasn't really been okay with any of the nicknames we've given him in the chat yet. He hasn't really latched on to any of them. I've thrown some at him. I want him to call him Scottie Basketball because he loves basketball so much. We just call him Scottie Basketball because he's all about basketball all the time. I think Scottie Bank Arena is a great nickname to do for the building. You know, as Scottie emerges and becomes more and more the man, Scottie Bank Arena is a great thing to call our building. That's for sure. Sue's saying at MSJ, I'm just going to go get everyone a B and make it easy for me. Ha ha. Wayne's saying, I'm sorry, Nav is annoying. In some ways, he is annoying, but he's still important and good. Troy Henry saying, happy Friday, 13th, freaks. So excited for the season. Lots of people going to be proven wrong by underestimating the Raptors. You go, Troy Henry, and keep singing your song because you're exactly right. Scotty's going to wake them up real hard with a jam to the rim over their heads. Dunk it on them, Scott. That's right. Fiercely saying, Dennis looks so happy in Toronto. I was watching the clip, but didn't know it was Nav offering cars. Wow. Can you remind us who the two guys he's with are? Are they friends, business partners? Well, it's Joel and Alex. And Joel is his guy that lives with them. He's like their helper. Basically, because Dennis is so busy doing his basketball career, Joel is like his stand-in at home. And he basically helps Ellen with household stuff. If they need to go get stuff and they need more strength or help with that kind of stuff, and Dennis is gone, Joel is that dude. So he's basically like part of their family. And he has his own YouTube channel too, so you can watch him too. But yeah, he's a really happy-go-lucky dude. He's awesome, and I like him a lot. One of the guys that was in the truck with him too was a guy named Keith, and Keith's an American guy who was with the German team as a trainer, and he's training Dennis. He's his personal trainer. And Keith was there in FIBA World Cup that whole time, helping Dennis win the World Cup. And in fact, he said in the clip yesterday, this is a big reason why Germany won. And the guy said, yeah, I was so proud of them. They put in so much hard work. They deserve it. And so I like Keith too. He's a trainer. But then Alex is another one of their little helper guys that's around, and he's the one who was wearing the Celtics stuff. It was kind of bugging me. But yeah, that was Nav on the phone with Dennis on the clip. And he's like, he comes up, he's like, oh, that was the super fan. He's like, I was just talking to him. You know, it's cool. Wayne Strainer saying, rich athletes don't need freeness. Go help some refugees. Sure, in a real idealized world, I get what you're saying, Wayne. I get what you're totally saying. But I'm not unhappy that Nav's doing this. This is good for the Raptors. So it could be very well that Nav is doing a lot of philanthropy on the side also for people that we don't know about. In some ways, I get it. You're like, people, the rich get richer. This is messed up. I get that mentality, and I totally agree with you. But in some ways, if it's going to help the Raptors win championships, I have no problem with this. I have no problem with this. This is very much a priority here. And if the Raptors are happy and they're getting taken care of by Nab Bhatia, I fully endorse and thank you, Nab Bhatia, for your role as a super fan in our fan nation. Seriously. I get what you're saying, Wayne, and you're exactly right. But don't be surprised if Nab's doing a lot of good for a lot of people all over the place in different ways also. So Kareem's saying, definitely requesting bolognese to the wife on Sunday for dinner. You know what? You got another one. You got another one. He's alluding to in the clip that Dennis is on his way home from practice and he's hungry. And Ellen's on the phone saying, I'm cooking bolognese for you. And he gets home and he eats the spaghetti with the meat sauce. Their house looks nice. We'll get the tour, I'm sure, on Ellen's channel very soon. But it looks like they got it relatively set up so they can live their life in it. That's really good. I want this transition to be smooth for the Schröder family. So they're comfortable in Toronto. And they're having very happy, good vibes and happiness here for sure. Yeah, I'm all about that. Good job, Kareem. Get your bolognese from the wife. Leslie's saying, Nab brings so much positivity to the Raptors, and he gives out free tickets to kids and families. Nab is the original Raptor freak. That's right. That's where I started missing comments. All right, let me get back to where I was before. Thank you for pointing this out, Fiercey. I really do appreciate it. And I wanted to make sure that I don't miss any comments. And she just made sure I didn't. All right, good stuff. All right, let's see. Wayne Strainer is saying, don't want you censoring us, Lex, for Nav. We're not fans of Fan. We're fans of the Raptors. I'm not going to censor you. You can have your criticisms of him. I have no problem with it. Listen, once again, we're free speech here, man. You can say what you want to say, but I don't have to agree with it completely. I'll stand up for Nav because he is a good person for our Raptors nation. And in some ways, I don't want to be critical of him because he's want to give at least a free car to Ellen Schroeder. That's not a big deal to me. I mean, they have a ton of cars already. I mean, it's not a big deal to me. I really don't. It doesn't upset me in some ways. In some ways, just let it go, Wayne. I get it. And in some ways, if you don't want to be a fan of Nav, you have the perfect right to. And I'm not going to censor you for that. If you want to be critical of him, you can, but I may push back a little bit. That's fine. Stargate saying Nav has given other players stuff. Nav helps players with paperwork to get their vehicles and their families' vehicles into Canada. Yeah, he does a lot of different stuff. He basically says anything. He will help them with anything. If there's any kind of logistical thing they need, these Raptors have a couple people they can call. They can call Teresa Resch. They can call Shelby. They can call Bhatia, and boom, they get things done. Scottie had an issue with Cardi last summer that he needed to take Cardi to an obedience school because Cardi was ripping up his shit in his house in the summertime while we were on Twitch. So he's like, man, do y'all know anybody good? And like, well, he went and talked to probably Teresa Resch, and Teresa Resch found a obedience school for his dog. It's stuff like that. Sometimes you just need random shit. And Nav is there to say, listen, whatever you need, Dennis Schroeder family, I will give it to you guys. I will help you guys get it, or I'll direct you on where you can get this. And there's nothing wrong with that. That's very helpful in the transition, the timeliness, the quickness of how Dennis had to move his whole family here and get in the season and get right into the season and working with the Raptors. Any kind of help in these areas is appreciated. I'm very sure, very much. Yeah, Criscom's here. Good to see the great Criscom in the house. In the house. Basic Training Days here saying Robert Williams barely played. Shaking my head. They upgraded at point guard. All right, so he's coming at my takes on Celtics. Don't tell me that Robert Williams III wasn't a fan favorite of the Celtics nation. Don't tell me this bullshit. They've been hyping him up so many years now, and now all of a sudden he's gone. They called him the Time Lord. He may be their best defensive big man. I'm sorry. Kristaps Porzingis is not a replacement for him. You can say they upgraded at point guard, and I'll agree with that. But in some ways, Marcus Smart was the defensive player of the year, wasn't he? In some ways, just like 2 years ago. So it's like Marcus Smart and Malcolm Brogdon and Grant Williams. That's 3 good defensive players. And you get back just Drew Holiday. I'm sorry. They're a worse defensive team this year. And we're going to see it. We're going to see it. The Celtics are going to have a harder time winning games this year. They're going to lose a lot. Watch. Everybody thinks they're going to be so much better. But I'm going to tell you right now, the stick man, it follows him. L's follow him. It doesn't matter what team he's on. He can be on a team with Luka, and he's going to have L's. He in Washington, L's. New York Knicks, where he was, L's. The big man brings L's with him, the stick man. And you're going to see that. You're going to see that. And you know what? You can disagree with me. We'll see how this unfolds. How about that? We'll see how this unfolds. And if I'm wrong, I'll be like, all right, I was wrong. But I'm pretty sure I'm going to be right. And everybody's blind spot is that everybody overhypes the Celtics and the whole media NBA machine. They just are not looking at this realistically. Their overall hype and green tinged glasses, they look at them, oh, positive, positive, positive. They don't see the problems here that I see. And some of the diehard Celtics fans are very worried about this. The ones that know, like what I know, they're worried about the exits of Marcus Smart and Grant Williams and Robert Williams III. You know, the only reason why Robert Williams III didn't play a whole lot is because he was injured. But in the years before last year, he played a whole lot. And he was a major part of the defensive problems. I'm so glad he's gone. Seriously, he was one of the people that pisses me off about the Celtics when we played him. I'm like, damn, Robert Williams III is a handful. He's annoying. Well, he's not on their team anymore. I don't have to worry about him. I don't have to worry about Grant Williams being a thug and rolling over on somebody's ankle. I don't have to worry about Marcus Smart and his crazy, crazy dog mentality. These are good things. There's a subtraction by addition that's happened with the Celtics. In some ways, it's the opposite of what's happened with us. We had addition by subtraction. Subtracting Nick and Fred actually is an addition. Well, they actually think they made an addition, but they've had a subtraction in the Celtics this year. And it's going to come true. And people will see it and they'll be like, holy shit. Holy shit. The Celtics aren't that good this year. They're going to be like that. Watch. Fiercely saying Brogdon seemed so out of place yesterday at the Portland bench. Also, Moses Brown now plays for them. Yeah, Moses turned 24 yesterday. Happy birthday, Moses Brown. Yeah, that's where he ended up landing after our summer league. And yeah, Brogdon looks like he's like pissed that he's in Portland all of a sudden, and he is not really happy to be there. That's for sure. Criscom's here. Good, big up, Lex. Can't wait for the season to start. I can't either, Criscom. I want a prediction from you, sir. How many wins do you think the Raptors will get this season? Great, Criscom. Let me know and put it in the chat, please. Name was saying Benvento training day. Buenvento. I don't know what he's saying. He's dapping him. Name is saying, welcome to Criscom. Yeah, Criscom is one of our old timers. He's been around for a couple years. He just pops in here and there. We love the great Criscom. Basic Training Day is saying, Robert Williams played 35 games last year. He can't stay on the floor. Celtics are still a top 3 team in the East. Okay, I'll believe it when I see it. We'll see what happens by the end of the year. Yeah, we'll see. I don't think they are. I think that Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown are soft ass players and they're not winners. And with Grant Williams and Marcus Smart not around there to push them in those kind of directions, you're going to see it. We already see Jason Tatum has digressed this season. You know, Sheb sees it. I see it. Jason Tatum's jump shot is falling apart at the beginning of the season. He has no jump shot. I think he's the biggest fake. You know, they've anointed him a superstar in this league. They give him so much stuff. And what has he done? He's been a failure in high pressure situations. Been to the finals twice and he's failed. He's a failure. He's way overhyped. It's just the Celtics wishing and wanting and praying for such good things to happen to them. They don't understand that their superstars are fallacies in some ways. And they were propped up by the muscle and grit of Grant Williams and Marcus Smart. I think we'll find out this year, basic training day. You're going to see just how exposed Jason and Jaylen are without their buddies with them. Seriously, you're going to see it. You remember I said this basic training day and come back and see me about 2 months. How about that? How about that? And see how it goes with Coach Joe, too. Ooh, it's a big dumpster fire. This is why I don't think they are a top 3 team in the East. Because, first of all, their coach sucks, and they're going to be exposed for the frauds that they all are this season. Remember I said this. You're going to remember I said it first. Kareem saying, just to confirm, we play on Sunday, right? Yes, sir, Ski. And that's right, Kareem. If you are here in Toronto and you want to go to the Carnes Taipans game with me, you can meet me outside the Scotiabank Arena in Jurassic Park next to the cones, the star cones, at 4:20 in the afternoon. The game starts at 6. We'll go inside to the ticket office and we'll buy tickets together. And hopefully they'll be on the 100 level and we will watch the Raptors take apart the Carnes Taipans in a very methodical Darko Rajaković way. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. So, Kareem, you want to come down and go to the game with me? Meet me outside at 4:20, and I will be there, and we will go inside and watch this game together. That's right. Fiercely saying, laugh out loud at Kareem. I love it. Top saying, I think it will be easier for us to do better in the East than for teams like the Spurs, Rockets, and Blazers to come up in the West. I agree with this. In some ways, there's a lot of unsurety in the East. I still think, Milwaukee may be really good for sure, but I don't believe in the Celtics, as I've said over and over again today. I don't believe in the Sixers, and those are 2 of the top teams they're saying right now. Now, there's a lot of teams that are kind of in a similar place as us. They have the ability to go up or down, like Orlando, Detroit, Cleveland. I would even say Chicago. Atlanta. These are teams that are kind of, they could be better this year. And some people are predicting these teams will be better than us. But I think that we have just as good a chance as being very good as Orlando, Atlanta, Cleveland, or any of those teams I just named. So New York is another one. So yeah, the East is like, I don't know. These teams could go either way, some of them. And that's what we're waiting to find out. Yeah, I think you're right, top. I think it's easier in the East to get movement up in the standings than it is in the West right now. There's some tougher teams out West that are more established. Let's just put it that way. Trevor's saying, all those teams that load up for the season with all those superstars, they're going to disappoint a lot of fans. Can't wait to have my popcorn already. There you go, Trevor J. I love it. Yeah, in some ways, what was the Brooklyn Nets experiment? A failure. What's the Suns experiment going to be like this year? We'll see. They may be successful. In some ways, they've got good things going there. And I'm very impressed with their owner. I think their owner has been a hot shot and such a shot in the arm for the Suns franchise. And, we'll have to see how the Suns react with their team. They do have a little bit more better defense in some of the moves they've done more recently. So I was saying they're too offensive minded, but now they're getting a little bit more defensive minded. In fact, it's Yuta Watanabe's birthday today, guys. Happy birthday to Yuta. who's 29 years old, playing for the Phoenix Suns. We love you, Yuta. We hope you have a healthy, great season with the Suns. For sure, yeah. Kareem saying the East is definitely weaker. With LeBron demanding a trade back to Cleveland. Cue that. Kareem, I don't want to give you a dunk for that one. Let's see. Stargate saying at Lex, in reference to the mistakes, I was really referring to these Chicken Little fans, those who frequent the Real GM Raptors forum cesspool. Yeah, I don't even know. I don't go there, so I don't know what you're talking about. But any Chicken Little fans that think we're going to be bad this year, well, just sit tight, get ready for fun and happiness and good times. Top saying the West top 6 teams: Nuggets, Grizz, Kings, Suns, Clippers, and Warriors, barring injuries, should be good. Then you got the Lakers, the Wolves, the Pelicans pushing up, and the Jazz. That's tough. Yeah, and you should even include the Spurs. The Spurs are somebody that you need to start talking about again. Watch right now. And, there's other teams we're forgetting about too that are probably involved in all this that could be actually not bad. There's more good teams out west than bad teams. Let's just put it that way. There's more good teams out west than bad teams. Top saying if Fred wanted a better chance to win a chip, he should have either taken a pay cut and accepted a lesser role here or on a contender in the East or West. Fred's not trying to get another chip. He's trying to get paid. And we got that. Yeah, that's right. Fiercely saying not bowel issues. What are you guys talking about bowel issues now? And thank you for the cutoff. Top saying I wish Embiid the best of health, but the way Nick coaches, he will run Embiid and Maxey into the ground. If they get hurt, the depth is shot. Yeah, they don't listen. James leaving, and they're not going to get something in return for him that's similar to James. In some ways, there's all kinds of different ways Sixers can go wrong this year. Seriously, there's all kinds of different ways they can go wrong this year. Trust me. And some of it could very well be a beef between Joel and Nick at some point. I could see that happening. There's not a whole lot of love built up between them. In some ways, Joel had to sign off on the Nick hiring, and he may be all about it. But at one point, what if things aren't exactly right and those egos clash and they aren't on the same page? Then it's going to get real ugly in Philly. Watch. Real ugly. And if they already have a proclivity not to like each other, because we know Joel said a lot of shit about Nick when he was coaching Toronto. Yeah, and Nick didn't even realize it. He was like, I didn't realize there was an issue with us. I'm so in the game and watching that. You didn't realize this motherfucker's talking shit about you all over the place, even after he got talked shit about you in the playoffs after we were eliminated, about another team doing some Nick Nurse shit. He said that in the playoffs. We were done for our season. He's bringing up Nick Nurse in press conferences in his playoff series. I'm telling you, there's a real easy break right there. That if these guys don't see eye to eye, if Nick doesn't kiss Joel's ass in the right way, woo, it could be bad real quick. Shaq Lindsay saying, I'm looking at these teams and a lot of them upgraded on offense, but their defense is lacking. Toronto needs to hang their hats on defense, and moving the ball will create great offense. I agree with this. In some ways, listen, the league's making it harder and harder to play defense. So some of the teams are just throwing up their hands and saying, we'll just really go on offense. And I think you're right, Shaq Lindsay, that there are some teams that very much are building with this kind of philosophy in mind because they already decide defense has their nuts chopped off. Well, still, we have a really overpowering defensive squad. So in some ways, that could still be a real good issue. I love the whole idea of conserving our energy on defense to play guys one-on-one straight up instead of doubling and running all around like crazy. To have more energy on offense, we could still have a very good defensive team. In fact, what they talked about in this past week is deflections. Darko is very much keeping track of deflections like Nick was last year, but in some ways the deflections are coming from natural things instead of trying to force them aggressively. It's more like get your hand on things. Part of the reason why Darko was applauding Pascal when he came out of the game on Sunday is that he counted Siakam having 6 deflections in one series of the game. And he was like, that's beautiful, Siakam. That's exactly what I want you to do. Get your hand in there and cause deflections. So this is a big part of things. It's the same as Nick's philosophy is Darko wants those deflections also. And he wants fast break opportunities. So these guys are going to be playing with their length and their arms and their height to get those deflections still. That's a very, very important. But instead of like risking gambling and going for steals and getting out of place and then everybody has to come back, no, they're not going to do that. It's going to be very smart, calculated, getting those deflections instead of gambling and then causing everything in the defense have to catch up because one guy ran out of position to go for a steal that he didn't get. So there's differences to how they're going to go about trying to get the deflections, but they're still going to be very aggressive in counting the deflections and encouraging the guys to get them. So I'm excited about that. So our defense will be a little bit more conservative and reserved, but hopefully we'll still get a lot of the same results in turnovers and fast break opportunities. So I'm all about that a lot. Yeah. Kareem saying at Sue, making love on Friday the 13th sounds great, but if you get my wife pregnant, I'm coming to you for child support. Oh my gosh, Kareem, this is just weird and wacky. I don't even know what you're saying right there. Like, what is going on here? All right. Stargate saying in the West, I like OKC, Utah, and yes, the Blazers. I don't follow the American basketball media driven perception like most folks do. Nuggets still the ones to beat, and Golden State is dangerous if healthy. Yeah, Golden State is very old though. It's interesting. The news out of the camp is that Chris Paul's fitting really well with them. I was a little worried about that fit and the animosity between Chris Paul and the Warriors franchise, but it's working out so far. I still think that they're a little bit past their prime. And that last championship may be their last hurrah with this cohort of guys with Steph Curry and Klay Thompson and Draymond. So in some ways, I don't put a lot of weight in the Warriors. I definitely think the Nuggets are still dangerous, but they're not as good as they were last year. They did lose some guys from their championship team. So it'll be interesting. I think OKC is a little overhyped right now. A lot of people are very much in love with OKC. Some people are saying, oh, they have 5 All-Stars up and coming. That's bullshit. That is such bullshit. In some ways, OKC is not as good as they're saying, for sure. Utah's better than what they're saying. And Blazers also. I'll say that too. Trevor J saying, Lex, my cousin wants you to crush Cleveland every time they lose because he's not a fan of the Cavs. Okay. I'm all about that. Yeah, I hate the Cavs too. So I'll gladly crush the Cavs in all kinds of ways. When we see them this season and also with what they're doing in their team, I will crush their dreams, of course. Shaq is saying these teams look unimpressive with their defense. Cavs, Indiana, Orlando, Boston, Phoenix, no, Philly. I guess that's Philly, Chicago, and Brooklyn because we're all in the East. Yeah, I won't disagree with this. Like a lot of those teams are going to be a little suspect. I don't know. Cleveland, in some ways, has a good defense. Indiana, I could say that. Orlando, I'd probably say that. Boston, definitely already saying that. Philly, yeah, okay. Chicago, maybe. They have some interesting things with their defense, but overall, you're right. They're not a good defensive team. Brooklyn could be okay, though. They got Bridges, and Simmons is a pretty good defensive player. So I don't know. We'll have to see how it all comes out this season. Stargate saying at Shaq, the issue with that is the league will allow the Raptors to play their defense, or they will continue to mandate their officials to officiate Raps games a specific way as they've been doing for years. Well, this is something that Darko actually alluded to in the interview this week, saying that, in some ways we got to play to the calls, and there will change different nights depending on who the referees are. We know this. And in some ways, well, you're watching the right channel if you want to know which nights are which. The ref report will keep you up to date. Before the games in the morning, I'll tell you what the ref crew looks like for us and whether they're a friendly crew or they may be a problem. So, yeah, we'll have to see. We'll be keeping track of this. That's my specialty. Keeping track of the referees and what kind of shenanigans could become an extra, and especially the stuff that we get to deal with specifically as the Raptors. So I'll be paying attention to this Stargate, and we'll do it on a game-by-game basis, what we see going in. Yeah, we'll see. But he understands this, and in some ways, that's part of the adjustments that a coach does in the game is they realize the referee crew and how they're going to call it, and then they have to adjust how the guys are going to play, whether it's more aggressive or less aggressive because of the foul calls. So we'll have to see. Jam Joss is here. Good to see Jam Joss. It's been a little bit. I love you, Jam Joss. Good to see you. Cam Whitmore was raked higher than Gradey Dick, and he was drafted in the 20s. Yeah, and he's looked pretty good so far, actually, for Houston, from what I hear so far. Top saying at Jam Joss, Whitmore was ranked higher than Gradey, but he slid quickly in the draft due to his interviews and his level of conditioning in his workouts. Yeah. I heard different things about why Whitmore dropped. And in some ways, Rockets are very happy to pick him up and get him where they did. Shaq Lindsay saying, watch Mobley and I don't understand the hype. Scottie is more of a complete player. They shouldn't even be compared. I agree. I agree with that completely. The Evan Mobley hype has pissed me off. The way that Cavs fans get about Evan Mobley is so overhyped and bullshit. In some ways, Evan Mobley's career has been propped up by Jared Allen already. In some ways, he is way more overhyped than he should be. I didn't agree that he should have been so close to Scott in the Rookie of the Year voting. I really don't. And the fact that people continue to value Evan Mobley so much higher than Scottie Barnes is a fallacy that will come true soon enough. They're going to know soon enough that there's different levels to this, and Scottie's just going to be operating on another level. They're looking at all the promise in Mobley and thinking that this is going to just happen. I don't see it happening with him. In some ways, I see him as an ordinary player to a degree. This man could end up being just a glorified Morris brother at some point. Seriously. Scottie, it's a real deal, and he's coming, and he will make them know soon enough. Watch. That's right. Nameless is saying, you underestimate people's pettiness. Yeah, I guess I do. True, Stargate. All right, let's see. Nameless is saying, who was that player taunting Gradey Dick about his name before the draft? I rest my case. Well, I don't know if that was actually a true story. That could have been just a Twitter joke that somebody made about why Cam Whitmore fell, is that he was making fun of Grady's name. But there may be truth that was true in the green room, that he made a whole bunch of dick jokes in the back, and other people were like cringing and kind of embarrassed by it. And they're like, we can't draft this guy. He's an idiot. And that happened. I don't know if that story is true or not. I know I said it when it happened. I heard about it, but that's not a substantiated story for sure, just so you know. But there was a story that Cam Whitmore was doing that. Stargate saying the American basketball media hypes Mobley more than Scottie simply because of location. Agreed. That's it. It's not related to any kind of visual basketball perception whatsoever. Yeah. Yeah, they just need that foil. They wish they could have done that with Cade more, but he was hurt last year. In some ways, we may see Cade rise up and be more of that. In some ways, we may see Franz become more of that foil. Orlando's always comparing Scottie to him. The other one is Giddey in Oklahoma City. That rookie class is really strong in certain ways, but Scottie will show that him winning the Rookie of the Year was not a fluke and that he is the best player from that draft. It's all said and done, I am confident that our guy, Scottie Barnes, will be undeniably the best player from his draft class, and that him winning that Rookie of the Year was no fluke. They try to say Scottie's the next Michael Carter Williams. Fuck y'all for that. That is nowhere near like Michael Carter Williams wins the Rookie of the Year and flames out right afterwards. Fuck that shit. You're going to find out just how much he flames y'all out by winning games against y'all by dominating. Is what I'm saying. This is exactly right, Stargate. The American hype machine builds Evan Mobley, builds him, and belittles Scottie at the same time. Top saying, I agree with your view. Hang on. I agree with your view. Where am I in the chat here? I agree with your view on Gradey. We really need his shooting, but our bench is deep and won't be consolidated until the deadline, if at all. Maybe the second half of the season, Gradey sees more time. I think this is realistic, top. I think this could very well be the path. The other thing is the G League season is heavy at certain times of the year. And then maybe in the parts of the year where there isn't a lot of G League going on, like near the end of the year, you see a lot of Gradey then on the main roster. I think it's just better for him in his development arc. Once again, I'll say that over and over again. It's just better for him to get a lot of 905 reps. Nameless is saying, well, it's the meaning of words change over the years, decades and centuries. Connotations of words change and shift with the ages. They used to use the word pud for penis. When was the last time you heard that word? Well, just now. And what the hell is going on with this chat today? Why did I just say the word pud? Oh my gosh. No, he's right. Things change and they become worse words or bad words. Of course, in different languages, words are worse. You may say something that's innocuous in English, and then you go to another country and you just said the worst dirty word in the world and people are shooting at you. So, there's just miscommunications. Some of it's just language. It really is. Stargate saying Scottie equals the transporter. That's an interesting take right there. Chris comes saying, my vote for Scottie's Buck name is Bully Barnes because that's how he's going to get defenders this year, bullying them. Yeah, Bully Barnes is not bad. Scottie Bully Barnes, Barnes the Bully. Barnes the Bully, I don't mind that either. In some ways, that's got some legs to it, Criscom. The word bully with Scottie's name may work because it may really be exactly what he's doing. Yeah. Top saying the ceiling for this roster to me is above average shooting. And if that hits, I think they can get to 48 wins. The defense will be improved with less double teams, which means less desperate closeouts. Yeah, stay at home. Let your own athleticism and talent as an individual, OG, Scottie, Precious, Pascal, Jakob, Dennis, Gary, use your own very incredible single one-on-one talent to just stop them on your own. Why do we have to send doubles at them? In some ways, OG can play LeBron one-on-one. In some ways, yeah, sure, we're going to send doubles at times, but in some ways, Darko doesn't want to do it right off the bat. This is part of his strategy. He wants to save it as a bag of tricks for later in the game. It's like, all right, let's not do switches too quick or doubles too quick. We'll use them later when we want to make the game more intense, when it's winning time. And we'll switch it all of a sudden. And that'll be a whole other level of intensity. Then all of a sudden, the other team is like scrambling. Holy shit, now the Raptors are doing what they did all game last year, but now later. That's the thing. In some ways, if you play your crazy all-out defense all game, you don't have another level you get to later sometimes. And that's what Darko's kind of saying is like, we'll stay at home, play them straight up for a good part of the game. But if that's not working, we're getting burned, then we'll start doing switches. And then we'll start doubling on certain guys that are killing us. The adjustment game and looking at what's happening in the flow of the game. That's what we're going to see there. Yeah, I love it. I love it. I love it. And I think that 48 is a nice number, and I'll take it, but I want to get 50. I want to get 50. Darren is here. Holy crap, y'all. This is the weirdest thing in the world because this is one of our original guys. This dude was here at the very beginning when I started this channel 2 years ago, and he went away for a while. This is Darren in Jakarta. I don't know if Darren's still in Jakarta, but he was exactly 12 hours opposite of us. And in fact, we just had the World Cup over there. I wonder if you went to any of those games, Darren. We're very happy to see you back. And we remember you. Of course, we remember all our good Raptor freaks, especially from the very beginning. You say, woo, freaks on a Friday. We'll see the real Raps this year. I hope so, Darren. And welcome back, my friend. I know it's been a couple. Seriously, you were here in the very beginning. We hadn't seen you all last year, and now you're back this season. I love it. Darren, I hope you'll come and join us. I'm still doing this every single day, and I have a dedicated time, 9:30 in the morning. You can see me every day. I have not stopped since you saw me in the beginning. I've done a streak. I'm over almost 800 days in a row. I'm going to continue it for the rest of my life. I've dedicated myself to do this channel for the rest of my life. So y'all think I'm going somewhere? No, I'm not. 9:30 every morning right here. That's right, Darren. So happy to see you, man. Nameless is saying the word gay used to mean happy, but now that's replaced entirely. We're doing etymology today, y'all. Seriously. That's true. I feel very gay today, guys. I'm very, very gay today because of how good the Raptors are going to look this year. I'm very, very gay about it. I'm very gay about it. Yeah, Top of Top saying, I would love to see the Raps close out under control with a hand up and less running past the shooter. Never understood that style of closeout. You know, it was really good. Like against Sacramento on Sunday, there were times where they had shots that were open, but we closed them out really nice and ran at them. And they missed the shots partly because of that irritation. So I like that. There were a couple corner threes the Kings took, and Scottie ran right at them, and like they messed up the shot because he just ran at them. So the aggressiveness, the getting the hand up and just coming at them is important, and it will change shots or alter them or make them miss. And it's just effort. We got to have effort. And that's one of the things is it's like, look, the effort of the guys isn't about just offense. It's about closeouts. It's about defensive rebounds. It's about defensive assignments. And that's an important part of the whole measure of how you use your energy on the court. It's all going to matter. And it's every little bit of it. These guys could get all obsessed with scoring and just getting points like some of the people in the NBA. But no, in some ways, these guys are obsessed with making defensive plays and being the best defenders first over that. Scottie and OG, we know them specifically. You know, Scottie says, I'm already a good defender. It's just I don't get recognized for it. And he realizes the team has to win for them to get the recognition for the defensive ability that they have. He wants to take it to another level this year. And in some ways, the overpoweringness I'm describing on the offensive end, there could be a whole side on the defensive end that is overpowering and Kawhi-like as far as blocks and steals and playing really good defense also. Scottie very much values that side of the court. And he is a complete player in the sense that he does not ignore the defensive side. So this is going to be a big issue, an interest for us too, and a big issue for other teams also. Because I can see him being very good on defensive big plays at the end of games too, like a big block at a very key moment, a big steal at a very key moment also. Yeah, I'm all about that. Darren saying, nameless. It still used to mean happy. Have a gay old time. Have a gay old time. Yeah. Darren's right. It's still a word for gay or happy. Gay means happy too. That's right. Top saying, oh, on your arch enemy's YouTuber site, he defended Vince for going to his graduation. He misses the point there because in that era, people had a bigger problem with Vince in that the 2003, 2004 season when he quit. Listen, in some ways, if he had just not told us he quit, I'd be fine with him. But he had the audacity to say publicly in an interview, I did not play hard enough for the Raptors on purpose because I didn't want to. That insulted our team and made us a laughingstock and put us down. And it really hurt the way the Raptors reviewed by the rest of the NBA that, oh, their superstar franchise player that put them on the map has so little respect for the franchise he plays for that he will publicly announce that he did not try in the last couple years that he played for them. This is exactly like kind of what happened recently where they came out with the news that the Portland Trailblazers were ready to trade Dame Lillard to Miami this summer. But then Dame Lillard's agent said that bullshit, and it made them look like they had egg on their face. So they're like, fuck this. We're not going to do this now for you because your fucking agent said this. We're sending you to Milwaukee instead. They had it all arranged. They would have done it if that agent hadn't said that shit. It was embarrassing for their franchise. So they did something about it. That's why I had a problem with it. That Vince hurt the standing of the Raptors in the eyes of the whole entire league and put us down. And it's part of the reason why people still discount and put us down is because if Vince Carter, of all people, has no respect for the Toronto Raptors franchise, why would anybody else? This is why I hate Vince. Seriously. It's not because he went to his graduation. I wish he hadn't. It would have maybe changed that whole history against the Philadelphia 76ers. But it's really because he admitted that he quit. And then he had the balls to say it in public and do even more damage. This is why I have a problem with him. Yeah, there you go. Nameless saying, Darren, you tell Scottie to have a gay old time and watch what happens. This is the thing. Scottie doesn't even like y'all to shorten the word defense to D. You say, get back on D. He's like, he thinks you mean dick. Get back on D. No, he said it in our stream. He said, y'all, if you say the word defense, say defense. Don't shorten it to D. I hate that. He probably does it in practice. It's like, don't call it D, Chris. It's not just D, it's defense. If you just say D, I don't know. Maybe it's a weird thing with Scottie. I don't know. It's weird. Darren saying, I'm sure Scottie knows to have a gay old time. No need to tell him how the sticky troll is now in Houston. This is weird having Darren's presence in here with us. It's been so long. Yeah, Fred's departure is interesting. Once again, Scottie won't slag on Fred, even though he's gone. He still keeps his name in good faith, and he's not putting him down in his absence that he's gone. He's respecting him. And I appreciate that, Scott. There's no reason to kick Fred now. There's no reason to. Let's see. Darren saying Celtics overrated again. See, Darren's agreeing with me. I think they are. They always are. In some ways, it's just like the grass grows green in the backyard. The Raptors are underrated and the Celtics are overrated. That's just we breathe in oxygen. It's just like the way the world is. The Raptors are underrated and they're under classified, and the Celtics are overclassified and overrated. Yeah. Top saying, I forgave VC eventually, but I remember my family took me to a birthday game against the Spurs, and they sat Vince and Rose down 20 minutes, down 20. They sat them when they were down 20 and ended up winning the game with them on the bench the rest of the game. That's an interesting story. Of course, Vince and Jalen are two of my least favorite Raptors in the history of the Raptors. Some people were saying, you can't be a Vince hater, Lex, and be the Raptors freak. Well, that's exactly what makes me the Raptors freak and so diehard for my team that I can denounce Air Canada in some ways. I understand what he did for our team and how important he is to our history, but he also did a lot of damage too. Let's give it the correct thing. You can say, oh, it's because Rob Babcock, it's the team made it like that. That's bullshit. His mom was a problem, and so was he at the end. He hasn't been very good about it with us anyway since, even in the time he's still played and since he's retired. I told myself, oh, I'm going to forgive Vince. Now he's not playing anymore. But he went on to broadcasting, and he slags us in public on broadcasts in the U.S. all the time now. So I'm like, fuck you, Vince. You're not good alumni for the Raptors. You really, really aren't, because you are part of the perception war against us in the United States to this day. when you take the microphone for ESPN. Seriously. Seriously. Darren's saying Raptors underrated again. Exactly. It's just like the sun comes up every morning. It's the same shit. Stargate saying, wait, where's Mo today? I don't know where Mo is today. She doesn't make it every single day. She's a busy person. We're lucky to have Mo on days when she can be here, but sometimes she's not here. Darren saying wins for Raps 50. Should have had that last year. I agree with this, Darren. Nick Nurse had been submarining our team with uncertainty and weird gaslighting. Yeah, we might have gotten 250 wins last year instead of 41. I agree with that. Stargate saying anyone checked on Mo? She's fine. She's probably just busy this morning. She may have all kinds of different things. She may have an appointment. There's some days she's just not here, y'all. It happens sometimes. She's here many times though. Darren saying, why so low likes? Come on, people. Darren, once again, I've been doing this a long time. You saw me in the beginning. This channel's grown and it's a lot more different, but in some ways I never cared about that kind of stuff. In some ways you see now I've got like almost 800 subscribers and it's been a slow climb. Darren was like maybe one of my top first 10 subscribers. Seriously. He was here right at the beginning. And it's really cool how the channel's grown. Darren, I hope you'll join us because we have scheduled stuff. Tomorrow we're doing the Saturday Share the Love Club for Paul Jones. We're going to celebrate Jonesy as a longtime broadcaster for the Raptors. It's something we do. And of course, on Sunday, we'll have our preview for the game for the Carnes Taipans versus the Raptors on Sunday afternoon in the Scotiabank Arena. So yeah. And Darren saying 13th like on the 13th of the Freaks Friday. That's right. Sunday. Woo! That's right. Darren is hyped. Darren, are you still in Jakarta? Did you move? Are you somewhere else now? I'm wondering. I want to be as international as possible. I love bragging that we have a viewer in Jakarta. It's a big deal. Yeah, it's not enough. He wants more likes, y'all. Get him up. Get him up for Darren, not for me. Darren saying number 1 Bucks, number 2 Sixers, and then a 3-6 toss-up with the Raps in the mix. I like that. I think we're a top 6 team in the East. I think that people will realize that's very true very quickly. Name is saying, have a good one, y'all. I love you, all of you. Buongiorno, mia paisano, nameless. Yes. And fiercest respect to Darren also. Kareem saying, hear me out. What if Morey hired Nick Nurse to make Embiid's life hell? That this way Joel will demand a trade and it won't look bad on Morey. Then this will help spark their new process and then Nick Nurse building his team. I'm all about that. I think that may be right, Kareem. That could be very well the strategy of the diabolical Daryl Morey by planting the seed in Nick Nurse's head last year in the middle of our season. Hey, you should come coach for us. Why did he say that to him? They know each other from Houston. And when Nick coached their G League team and he's friends with him, why would you do that tampering, Daryl Morey? In some ways, I know y'all tampered with Nick Nurse and made this kind of fucked up season happen last year. You said some shit to him and it made him get in his own head. And then all of a sudden, boom, he is with y'all. It's really fishy and messed up. I've heard that you said that to him. I've heard a story that in the back, while he was the coach of the Raptors, you came up to him and said, you should come and coach for us instead. There's some sort of fucked up shit with that. Just like when the Clippers were coming and recruiting Kawhi Leonard the season we won our championship. There's some fishy shit there. Seriously. Seymour's laughing. The Sixers ain't number 2. I agree with that. Fiercely saying Lex's ref report is solid. That's right. We'll see who we get on Sunday. Hopefully it won't matter. We're playing the Taipans, but let's see who we get. And I'll definitely be going over it. Country Kong saying Jabari Smith will make Mobley look slow. You know what? I have more confidence in Jabari Smith Jr. than Evan Mobley to be a better player. Yeah, I'll get behind that. I saw Jabari at Rico Runs this summer. That kid's very talented. He's very good. So I can get behind that. Jabari Smith over Evan Mobley. Yeah, I can get behind that. Chris comes saying, I meant Nick's name, and also that's how he's going to treat defenders. Okay. All right. Country Kong saying, I'm skeptical about the G League. Has it really worked out for us besides Pascal and Fred? We never sent OG or Scottie down there. The mental aspect of demotion is interesting, i.e. Flynn, Banton, etc. Well, I don't like, in some ways, think about the opposite, Country Kong. If you just give them entitlement, like in some ways, I wish Scott had gone down there. I wish OG had gone down there. I think every player should go to the G League level at least once just to see it. But in some ways, there's a prestige to not having to ever go down there. But in some ways, people shouldn't look at it as a demotion. There's just levels to your job. And in some ways, you want to do better on those lower levels so that you can get further in the higher levels. The secret to the success of Fred VanVleet, Pascal Siakam, Norman Powell, DeLon Wright, Jakob Poeltl is that all 5 of those guys did G League and they were there together and they were badasses together. In some ways, that's part of the reason why I want it down there, because they were able to win a championship on the G League level. That helped them. And that helped us win the NBA championship in 2019, because in some ways they're going through the motions of that. So why wouldn't I want Christian Coloco, Gradey Dick, Marquise Noel, Javon Freeman Liberty, Ron Harper Jr., all those guys running the best quality team down there, and we win the G League? That's prestige. That's learning how to win. That's success on that level. And in some ways, that success of a G League championship for Fred and Pascal and them carried over to a championship for the big squad. So in some ways, if we want that wave that's mimicking the pattern of the way we did those championships that I just talked about, we need to get a G League championship with a core of our guys and have them graduate up to the upper level. And then boom, all of a sudden we got a bench mob. And all of a sudden we have like a really, really good 12-man roster. So that's the way I look at it. In some ways, Gradey is not arrogant. In some ways, it's not a demotion to him in his mind. In some ways, he's okay with whatever. He just wants to get better. He has the right attitude. Some guys that are cocky and arrogant, they may have a problem saying, yeah, we need you to go to G League. But I don't see that with Gradey. I don't see that with Marquise. I don't see that with our young guys that are coming in. And I get it. Some people say, oh, you're in the G League. Oh, that's a step down. Bullshit. You are in the league. And that just being in the G League, that's prestigious in itself. There's not a lot of professional basketball players that are at that level, even around the world in some ways. So, all right, let's keep going. Stargate saying the whole concept of the big 3 is going to be proved to be over this season. We're going to see a lot of these teams who put the 2, 3, 4 stars together not be as successful as expected and end this era. Yeah, this is already being mandated by the NBA with the salary cap structure of the second apron. They don't want 3 superstar super teams like the Miami Heat of before or the more recent Brooklyn Nets. They don't want that anymore. In fact, they're building it into the structure. That's why the Suns rushed to get Bradley this summer to make it with their team before the deadline runs out. It's not going to be possible in some ways to build a team that way because the NBA is changing the rules to not allow it. So it's not even that it's like it doesn't work or anything. The NBA doesn't want it, and they're not going to allow teams to get that way in some ways. Wayne's saying, I was a Vince fan and didn't get your dislike, but whenever I hear him on ESPN, I realize you're absolutely right. Vince put us on blast with dunks, but his betrayal is unforgivable. See, that's the problem. The damage continues to this day. In some ways, he put us on the map. He made everybody pay attention to us, and he gave us respectability, but he took it right away. I've likened it to this. Vince built a big, huge, beautiful sandcastle on the beach for us, for our team. He built it all up, and it had beautiful spires. It was intricate. It would be something that people walking down the beach would have to stop and look at for like 5-10 minutes because it's just so badass. Well, he built it up, and then when he was leaving the beach for the day, he kicked it over and destroyed it. That's what I'm saying. That's how I feel about him. In some ways, his impact is so crucial to the growth of the sport in Canada and the reason why we have a Team Canada like it is today. I get that. But in some ways, he's still fighting a perception war against our team that puts us down. He is a part on the sliding scale, even though he denounced Chris Bouchard for his views last summer. He denounced them against them. He's still a part of the problem that's like Chris Bouchard in a way. And you that's what I'm saying, Wayne. You can hear him. Watch Vince call a game. And if he ever mentions the Raptors, see how he handles it. In some ways, he wants to make sure people don't see him biased towards us because of his history with us. Well, he really goes the other way. And if you talk to Vince as a person, he's more likely to celebrate his Nets career than his career with us, even though his career with us is the most important part of his career and the career that made him who he was. The Nets part is what he celebrates, and he wishes he's more a part of the Nets family than the Raptors family. That's just the damn truth. He could even be more Magic family than Nets family or than Raptors family in some ways. How often does he come up here? like Muggsy or Dell or Tracy or even Marcus Camby now, or Junkyard Dog. He's never up here celebrating his Raptor stuff unless it's something special like the 20-year anniversary came up for, and that's it. He barely has anything to do with us, and that's very telling right there. Very telling. Fiercely saying, I think G League helped Boucher, but I can understand your point, Country Calm. It helped all of them. In some ways, that's part of the problem. The reason why it doesn't look like G League's helping us right now is because Nick and them weren't using it right. And in some ways, that development that comes up from G League, that's where we see it starting to come up. And then when it hits the Raptors main roster, boom, flourishing just like in 2018, 2019, with a crazy depth of Norman Powell, Fred VanVleet, Pascal Siakam, all these guys well-versed because of their G League time. In some ways, there wasn't a problem with playing these guys at that level because when they came in undrafted, high first-round draft pick, even Jakob was a top 10 pick or something like that. He was a very high draft pick for the Raptors this year, and he still went to G League, and it wasn't a big deal. Sometimes it's an ego thing with the player. All right, let me see what I got to do still today, guys. I really appreciate all the interviews yesterday with the Raptors. They're really, really good. Go watch them a couple times. I watched them like 7 times. I've seen everything that Thaddeus said was amazing. Scottie, very in-depth and interesting, his takes on how he sees the season coming up. And then, of course, Darko, revealing more and more about how he sees things in the game and how he wants to run our team. It's very, very exciting. Very, very exciting. All right, here's your Raptors Instagram check. We got Gradey standing in the warm-ups, waiting for the anthem in Vancouver. Long way from 316. That's right. You're in the 416, baby. Just run that first number up to 4, and you're in the right area code, Gradey. 416 now, going from the 316. Pascal is showing more pictures of his dedication of the Augusta Park in downtown Toronto with the PS43 Foundation. I love it. And Siakam's got a nice picture this morning saying, slow and steady, going to win that race. So maybe this is a little bit of a cryptic message about how Siakam is seeing his journey this year to try and get that All-NBA still under the new selfless system of Darko. I can see this. He's seeing slow and steady is going to win you the race. That's a very interesting take by him. A very wise man, Pascal Siakam is. He's like water. He'll get through the cracks of the defense to score, and he'll also mold and shapelessly bend to what his coach wants him to do. There you go. You go, Siakam. We love you, man, and keep on putting on blast your Red Bull. Marquise Noel is showing a clip of him at a training camp with kids, and he's out there in the community, and he's doing the little thing where they slap the floor in their heads, and then they grab the ball, and they turn around, and the guy actually beat him and grabbed the ball instead of him, and Marquise is like, what? But he does get it the second time. But it's cool to see Marquise out there with the public and doing the training camp stuff. He looks so happy doing stuff involving with the public like that. We see Gary Trent Jr. putting some young men on blast. I'm going to guess that maybe his family or some guys that he knows. That could be some of the younger Trent brothers there. There's Dennis Schröder putting on blast his clip from OVO. He's got a picture of him at the OVO Center in the Raptors gear saying, almost that time, getting ready. And then we see a picture of his youngest son, who's just a little baby, and he's growing up so quick. He's saying this baby is getting big quick, and he's asking about what he should be dressing this kid in. Kid is so cute. Oh, my gosh. This young son's so cute. Nice, good pictures of Dennis at the practice, and he's putting on blast Malachi. He wants everybody to go follow Malachi Flynn from his followers. So he's putting him on blast. I like that. And he's also putting on blast Franz Wagner, his German teammate. He's saying that he might be the top breakout player of the year in the NBA this year. But I love seeing the Dennis clips of him in the OVO Center, getting his workout on, hitting some nice shots. And we see Mogi working out with Javon Freeman Liberty on his. And apparently Dennis's brother has the flu, and he's fighting the flu back in Germany. Chris Boucher is celebrating CEBL getting 22 million plus social media impressions for the Young Canadian Elite Basketball League. That's a big deal. Lots of people more interested in the CBL this year. And of course, Chris is a big part in that stuff with him and Ibrahim. And he's definitely celebrating any kind of growth for the CBL. So yeah, that's basically your Raptors Instagram check real quick. Not a whole lot on there. Some of the guys are just staying away from social media, partly because, it's training camp and they're busy. They're looking at stuff. Yeah. Let's see. Paul B saying, how are you feeling about the Darko era so far on a scale of 1 to 10? I'll say 10 right now. Absolutely fantastic. Like I said earlier, I think like Masai and Bobby may have taken their time hiring him, but they really got the right guy. They really got the right guy because he actually checks off a lot of the boxes we needed. Whether it's the personable person, the better vibe person, whether it's also the tactician and the fresh approach to basketball theory and what they want to do with the team. Mo made it right at the end. Good morning, Raptor Freak family. Busy morning. Go Raptors. We love you, Mo. And on that note, thank you for watching me today. Please like, comment, subscribe, and share. And I'll be back tomorrow at 9:30 a.m. Great to see you back, Darren. Really, really happy to see you back. And tomorrow, we're sharing the love for Paul Jones. So be ready. Y'all have your Jonesy stories and tell me what you love about Paul Jones because it's Share the Love Club, Paul Jones, tomorrow morning at 9:30. So be ready for that, Monique. All right, y'all. Thanks for watching me. I love y'all so much. Let's go Raptors. We're starting a new era, and it's very promising. Let's not sully ourselves with low expectations. Let's have high expectations, but also allow for mistakes along the way and the ability to grow through our mistakes. I really do feel strongly that this Raptor season is going to be highly successful, and we need to strap in and have fun. Get that popcorn ready because it's going to be a fun year, very much unlike last year. Very, very much. All right, y'all. Appreciate y'all so much. And you know what I'm going to say right now? That's right. Let's go Raptors. Yeah.